Night 4 of week 3 of term 4 on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and we are rapidly racing toward the halfway mark of the fourth and final term of 2023. And we start our sprint racing extravaganza on a Thursday night at the Circuit Park Zandvoort for all things Formula V. As we welcome you on the platforms of GSRC across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube to Thursday Night Motorsport, and what has fast become one of our favourite nights of the week. One Make Thursday, back in action. Formula V first up into the Porsche second up, and what a night we've got in store for you. Yep, this night of the week has been a little bit low on numbers, ladies and gentlemen, in recent weeks. But we'll make up for that tonight with quality entertainment, I am sure. Yeah, Josh Zuno makes a good point off the top. Hope I've been looking after the voice box. I certainly have been, my friend, no doubt about that. Because not just GSRC commitments this week, it's also XL Racing on Sunday, XL Racing in a fortnight, some karting next weekend. Things are very, very busy at the moment. But if I run out of a voice by November 30, I can rest for the next 8 weeks of summer. Zandvoort is the venue tonight. The first time we've visited Circuit Park Zandvoort on a Thursday night since the upgrades to the circuit within the internal iRacing server and the latest patch updates that came out to coincide with the launch of Season 4 for this year. 4.21 kilometres, 25 degrees, the track temperature this afternoon. And we're sitting on October 12, 2023, 19 past 10 in the morning. So we're almost in sync with the real world on the time there at Circuit Park Zandvoort, being 9 hours behind Eastern Daylight Time at the moment. 25 the ambient and the track temperature, important to note. Cloudy conditions. We are set fair for what should be a great night of entertainment. Good evening to you, Sam Chapman. Good evening to you, Daniel Correa-Sar. Chapo, going to you first. 38 seconds left in the qualifying session. Have you been able to put a lap together, please?
I've got a lap in. It's not the best lap, but it's a lap. So I'm on the board at least. Looking forward to tonight. Bit of a Ticey up in third as well, so that's awesome from him too. But we've got a few old favourites. John Merritt back in the server too. Looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Great to see people like John Merritt back in the server. Joe Baldwin's here having a run as well. There's the championship points coming into this round. Tony Baker 150, Chris Noble 142, 134 for Sam Chapman, Glenn Stedo Riddell on 127, 115 for Brendan Nealon. Our top 5 at the moment. Clock expires. We're ticking over into the race 1 server now. Cars lining up on the grid. We wait to see what Sam Chapman can bring to the table from position number 4 on the grid. He's got Grant Gill and Aidan Schultz behind him. He's got Adam Tice beside him. He's got Adam Lavis and Chris Noble in front of him. There's the first 3 rows of the grid. Wayne Coburn and John Merritt the 4th row. Joe Baldwin and Tony Baker the 5th. How rude. Chapo left without saying goodbye. We'll hear from him after the race, I'm sure. Philip Howe and Kevin Henderson from row 6. Adam Johnson, Phil King from 7. Brendan Nealon, Jonathan Hooper from 8. Adam Ambos and John from 9 alongside Steve Hoppett. And Wayne Visser makes up the grid in 19th place. We're ready to go. Daniel Correa-Sar here alongside me, mate. Good evening to you. Not the sort of racy circuit you'd expect to throw the Formula Vs on. Racecraft and driver ability is really going to be king here.
Yeah, 100%. I am looking quite forward to this race for a couple of reasons. One, because it's the Formula Vs, and they always put on a show. As Glenn Riddell informs us that his wheelbase power supply has just died. Died for good or just turned off? Because that's going to be a very interesting start for you, sir. if that's the case.
It might be a non-start.
Yeah. But also, Zandvoort is a very unique track in terms of its layout. You can see it, for those of you watching at home and you're on the top right of your screen, how it's all squiggly and stuff. It's amazing in faster formulas, but we'll see what it's like in the Vs.
Set to go now, bring it away! It looks like a few slow to react to the green light. And that backed the pack up a little bit, as you can see. 4 wide on the run down to turn 1, and it's allowed Noble and Lavis to bolt. But we are safely and cleanly through the first corner. 2 by 2, 5th through 10th, as they make their way up to the hairpin for the first time. Off they go! It was only a matter of time. Oh dear. away. Aiden Schultz has jumped up into the top 5. Already had a race win this week in GT3, of course. We've got Adam Tice has dropped 16 spots, Sam Chapman 14, and Joe Baldwin 8. Also losing out, Adam Johnson has Tony Baker's dropped 5 spots and Philip Howe 2. Everybody else in the games at the moment. Wayne Visser up 8 spots. Steve Hoppett up 6. And Brendan Nealon up 6. And Wayne Visser up 8. Adam Ambo St. John up 7. Kevin Henderson, Phil King up 6 and 5 respectively. More trouble further back in the field. It's Adam Johnson. And also Tony Baker.
So Grant Gill also
and
just spun in front of us.
also Grant Gill. The rear end of these Formula Vs snapping out from under these drivers so early in the piece. Here's what happened to Visser.
Oh, he's just lost it on his own.
Synchronised sliding.
I'll give it an 8.5.
Oh dear. Yeah, the recovery not too bad either. Aiden Schultz is gone. Aiden Schultz has come unstuck. Schultz is dropping down the order. There he is, right, parked over the ripple strip, parked over curb cam. Schultz, he drops to 14th. And there's a few people already, Daniel Chris, hoping for a safety car to get back into this, because if you have a spin in these things on lap 1 on a track like this, your history. Now, down the inside goes Adam Lavis. To the lead goes Adam Lavis on the inside at turn 1. Start of lap 2, I would imagine we're only going to get 5 laps in here. 2:03.2 the standing time. That being said, look at the times that we saw in qualifying. They were in the 56s, 57s. So it may be a case of we, managed to somehow sneak in a 6th lap by the skin of our teeth. So keep an eye on that as we make our way through the back section, the second sector of the lap, for the second time. And this is Adam Lavis defending Chris Noble at the moment. 2 of the 4 men in this championship. Lavis a proven performer without luck, and Noble a hat-trick, a clean sweep in the opening week a couple of weeks ago. Lavis holding a tight line. Noble went tighter. It didn't hurt him in any way, shape or form. Chapman's charge back through the field continues. He's up into 10th spot now. And we've got Adam Tyson, Steve Hoppett on pit road. So we're down to, Steve Hoppett's still on pit road. Adam Tyson's got back out there. So too Adam Johnson. They've both pitted at the end of lap 1. We're on lap 2. Off goes Ambo. 2:03.175. Chris Noble, the fastest lap of the race off the line there. It'll be interesting to see what outright speed is like on this first flying lap, without the launch off the line and the kick into gear. We know that Formula Vs aren't exactly the fastest machines off the traffic lights. There's no doubt about that. Lavis the leader. Noble second. Big gap back to John Merritt. Bigger gap back to Lane Thoburn, who's under pressure from Kevin Henderson. Here goes Noble. Noble to the high side. Got him. Back to the lead. Goes to 22. Henderson and Thoburn side by side at the top of shot there. 4th and 5th on the racetrack, up for grabs. They're fighting over the same piece of real estate at the moment. And Thoburn tucks back in and lets Hendo lead the way through for now.
Just looking at the shape of these cars, you see the roll bar obviously comes up just above the driver's head to protect him in case of a flip. Do you think if the driver just leans their head to one side, it acts like a DRS?
No, I wouldn't imagine so. I would not imagine so. Sam Chapman's incident on lap 1 has been ruled as net code. We'll get some clarification on the incidents and the adjudications thereof from Jamie Budd, who's in race control for us tonight, a little bit later on. Thoburn all over the back of Hendo at the moment. Steve Hoppett's having a shocker overnight. Steve Hoppett's now parked up and is out of the race. Or is he? No, he's got back out there. My apologies. I read that wrong. He just had another off-track alert. But he's, a good lap down on the field right now as Steve Hoppett in 19th place. Only a field of 19 tonight. A little bit disappointing, the numbers here in the early stages of the Formula V season. But you can't deny the quality of the racing. Thoburn hassling. Just tailgating Henderson through. The right, the left, and back around again. Back we go to Joe Baldwin, who is following Sam Chapman through. Both of those guys coming unstuck on the opening lap. On a nice reconnaissance mission at the moment. It'll be interesting to see what they can salvage here. We're 6 minutes in. We've just completed the third lap. Noble and Lavis. It looks like we are going to go time certain at the 10-minute mark here. But we'll wait for the adjudication of Barney the flag waver next time by the line. Will he wave the white flag or will he let it go to 6? If he lets it go to 6, there's a tremendous amount of overtime coming our way. Round the outside, Chapman under pressure now. Chapman got across to cover off Hooper, who now had to get across and cover off Baldwin. Hooper back down the inside, be careful! Really, contact between that pair. Baldwin opts for the banking, up around the outside, thank you very much.
Oh, look at the
Nice
speed.
of you to stop by, thanks for coming. Look at Joe Baldwin now. 2 for the price of 1, all thanks to the build-up of speed he was able to net off the banking. Magnificent. Baldwin to 9th. These three, of course, 2 winners, 1 loser here, essentially, because there's 2 positions left in the invert top 10. They are 9th and 10th. One of these guys is going to be left behind. When we flip the grid on its lid, and 9th and 10th become 1st and 2nd.
So, Joe showcasing one of the unique characteristics of this track, which is the bankings in turns 3 and, of course, the final turn 14. Joe using the banking to his advantage. You're using all of the high grade and then using the downhill part to get that extra boost of speed. Goes straight past Jonathan Hooper there and also did manage to catch Sam Chapman earlier on. Sam's now managed to get past him again, so that's put Joe Baldwin down to P10, but looks like Hooper's going to try and get him around the outside if possible.
Not working. Switch back up and under didn't work either. Back to the main straight. Do we have a white flag in the air or are we going around one more time? Let's have a look. Is this the start of the last
I see the white
lap?
flag. There it is there.
There's the white flag, so we've got 1 to go. We're on our way home. It's a 5-lap sprint.
Look
That
at Aiden
makes
Schultz.
the mathematics very easy, my friend, because it means that the 2 races that are still to come in the program, the consolation and the feature, will be 8 laps apiece, being 15 minutes in length. A 15-second penalty coming under the way of Wayne Visser for passing under yellow earlier in the piece. That's not going to matter a buggery because he's down in 16th at the moment. Joe Baldwin, unfortunately, unstuck there, and Aiden Schultz is gifted a spot in the top 10. Meanwhile, back we go. It's Noble and Lavis. It's Noble looking for his 4th win of the season. It's Lavis looking for his 1st. Lavis with the fastest lap of the race thus far. There's nothing in it though. Adam will back himself to get the draft and get the toe and get the run on the main straight through the slipstream. But he's got to hit every marker and make every postal winner between here and there. We're in the final sector of the final lap. Smashing the ripple strips. Right, left. Ride the curb around the hairpin. Now Noble weaving from left to right to try and break the toe. Got across very quickly to the outside line. I don't think Lavis is close enough. I think he's too far back, but time's about to tell here. And we're out of time. Main straight, checkered flag. Chris Noble is about to bag a 4th win in the Formula V Series unless a late lunch from Lavis pips him. Have a look at that. He got it! He got it! Lavis got it! And he did it with the fastest lap of the races.
You're joking!
1:58.965. Wow! How about that? Lavis joins the winners list in Formula V. That many photo finishes happening right through the field. It's not funny. Perfectly positioned camera from either yourself or Adam Lavis there, my friend. Have a look at that. Have a look at this. We're going to freeze it as they come across the line, and have a look at Adam Lavis. Bang!
Let's see if I can get a freeze frame of that.
We're meant to hit the pause button there, not the play button.
Just see if I can
Let's
get
have a look at it again. Lavis, Noble, Merritt, Henderson, Thoburn, Gill, King, Nealon, Schultz, and Chapman, the top 10. Chapman, 10th, Schultz, 9th. They're the front row for the next race. Josh Zuno asking for a replay. This is it.
So we'll just change the camera angle here. So as they came across the line...
2, 1. Bang. Nothing in that. It's Adam Lavis by a nose. Adam Lavis by a nose. 100th of a second over Chris Noble. John Merritt, Kevin Henderson, Lane Thoburn, Grant Gilfield, King Brendan Nealon, Aidan Schultz and Sam Chapman made up the top 10. Chapman will have pole for the invert race. Alongside Schultz, Nealon King the second row, Gil Thoburn the third, then Henderson, Merritt, Noble and Lavis make up the top 5 rows on the grid. 3:10 in the afternoon. So we've gone past midnight Australian Eastern Daylight Time if we were to use the proper time converter. Hooper and Baldwin, Baker and Howe, that's row 6 and 7 for you. Adam Ambo St John and Adam Johnson from row 8, Wayne Visser and Adam Tice from row 9, and Steve Hoppett not taking the start. So we're down to 18 already. We are down to 18 already, and we're ready to rock and roll again with Formula V on a Thursday night on the platforms of the GSRC. Looking forward to this one, and if it's anything like the first, as far as the finish is concerned, you're in for a treat. Strap yourself in and buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. 16 minutes ahead of us here as we go. 8 laps instead of 5. Set to go now with the invert and all, green and away. Finder of the start from Sam Chapman. He's gone. He's left Schultz and Deco behind. Catch me if you can is the message from Sam Chapman. Schultz is keeping company in the form of Brendan Nealon and Grant Gill at the moment. And Thoburn and also Chris Noble have got their hands full with that swooping pack. Oh boy. Here's John Merritt down on the inside.
Oh no, Baldwin and some others at the back.
3 of them gone at the back. Baldwin caught up again. He took Hooper and Ambo with him, and so too for the Powell. So we've already lost 4 off the train. But still 14 deep in the early stages here. Wayne Visser 12th. 13th is where you'll find Adam Tice and Adam Johnson. Jonathan Hooper and Steve Hobbit swapping around. Joe Baldwin and Philip Howe beyond that. And at the front, the train is 11 deep. 1st through 11th. Tony Baker the last on the train at the moment. All over the back of Kevin Henderson. We ride on board with John Merritt now. And what about that start from Chapman?
Yeah, he well and truly cracked off the line. Got about a 5/10 or so gap to himself and Aidan Schultz there in P2. Schultz has managed to bring that back down again by half. As for the other guys, everyone was kind of clean. There was unfortunately an incident.
Oh! 4 wide! 4 wide on the run up to the right hand, and they sorted it out, thankfully, because they were never getting through that corner 4 wide.
Oh, leave him the space. Jesus, millimetres to the wheels.
Sorry, 10-second penalty for Philip Howe for not holding brakes. 3 wide down the main straight again. Look at the Pulse boys on the inside. Then, of course, on the outside, you've got the likes of Thoburn and Noble arguing over the same piece of real estate. They were all chasing, pounding Grant Gill. Chapman and Schultz are gone. Schultz is leading the race. Schultz has got by Chapman. Schultz is leading the race. Now he's not because he's dropped down the order to 4. He's come unstuck. Not sure where. It might have been up around that hairpin. Chapman now has clear real estate to the tune of 2.85 seconds. And beyond that, the rest of the pack are squabbling for the minors. 3 seconds the difference at the moment between Chapman and John Merritt. Ambo St John to pit lane and out again. Philip Howe's parked up for the night. That 10-second penalty will amount to nothing because he's escaped the server. He's parked up and gone for an early shower. That being said, we're in the Netherlands. He might be opting for something else.
The beach is just over the fence.
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure how far Zandvoort is from Amsterdam, but no, we'll work it out. So, down we go. And have a look at Adam Lavis. Down on the inside. The race one winner going back out in pursuit of another podium finish at the very least. Adam Johnson off the road in 14th place now. Drops to 14th behind Joe Baldwin. Lane Thoburn has come undone. Something had to give. It was too intense. It was too hard fought at the top end of town.
Oh, he just went wide there. Ended up hitting the tyre barrier. Doesn't look like damage on the car. He might have got away with that.
Actually, well, no, that's not too bad. And just a quick Google: Amsterdam to Zandvoort in reverse. It's only 40.5 kilometres, 43 minutes via the A5. So Philip Howe's already on his way. Jonathan Hooper and Wayne Visser in pit lane at the moment. Sam Chapman leads. Grant Gill's in there as well, arguing over the same piece of real estate. Chris Noble off the road. Chris Noble off the road. The man that's been so dominant, such a force in this series thus far, is on his way down the order to 13th. A long way back from there, especially because we don't invert the field at all beyond this point. It is start where you finish. The finishing positions of this race will determine the grid for race 3. 2 minutes, 0.531. Chapman's out on his own. Merritt's there as well. Gill in third, holding off Baker. Henderson, Lavis, then Nealon. King, Schultz and Tice arguing for 8th through 10th at the moment. Wayne Visser's lighting up another off-track alert and has been passed by Adam Ambo St. John. Further down the order, 17th and 18th. Lavis lunging down the inside, diving down the inside of Kevin Henderson. Hendo wants to force the issue on the exit of the corner and does so cleanly and commandingly. Chapman, Merritt, Gill, Baker and Henderson the top 5. Lavis now 6th on the comeback trail. No one's catching Sam Chapman at this point. And John Merritt is 4.4 seconds behind him, and he's got 2 seconds on Grant Gill. Chapman punches out the fastest lap of the race thus far, 1:59.354. Net code for Grant Gill and car number 22, Chris Noble, in the incident just now that's brought Noble's night undone. Oh boy. Now, don't forget, we'll go around the grounds at various points tonight as well, ladies and gentlemen. Huge night of sport, because earlier today, the Australian women in the second one-day international against the West Indies, unfortunately, that got washed out due to Melbourne's inclement springtime weather. Meanwhile, Australia are taking on South Africa at the Men's Cricket World Cup in India, and South Africa have started nicely. 7 overs gone, and they are none for 38. None for 38, South Africa, having been sent into bat by the Australians, who will bat at around 11:30 Eastern Daylight Time tonight. Hello, Pete Matson. Good evening to you. Grant Gill went for a lunge down the inside and then thought better of it. Tried to get by Tony Baker. Now covering off Adam Lavis. Kevin Henderson's in there as well, and so too Brendan Nealon. 5-way fight for third, ladies and gentlemen. Just the way we like it. Fastest time of the race for Aidan Schultz, 1:59.123. Off track alert being popped up by Philip King, but think nothing of it. Storm in a teacup. Lane Thoburn still on pit road as well, so that's really disappointing for him. He and Chris Noble will be fighting their way back through the field in race 3. Adam Lavis all over the back of Grant Gill like a cheap suit at the moment. fighting for fourth, and mindful that they don't want to let Tony Baker get away and break the draft, the slipstream, the toe, down the main straight. Here comes Lavis. Lavis up the outside. Down the inside goes Hendo. 3 wide if you don't mind. Lavis to sweep around the outside, maybe. Hold it, Lavis. Hold it. Have a look at the fight back from Grant Gill on the inside, but not good enough for the moment. Lavis will cover it off. Brilliant. There are certain things you can do in a Formula V that you wouldn't be able to do in too many other vehicles in this server. On this platform, Lavis around the outside accounts for Hendo and Gill and goes to fourth. Out of pursuit of Tony Baker and not mucking around in the process. He can see John Merritt in the distance. Probably give up on that. Sam Chapman leads the race by 5 seconds. And believe it or not, we're only on lap 5. Oh boy.
It's been a cracker of a race so far. Some really good battles. Nice and close, as you can see. Lavis trying to put that nose cone right into the exhaust pipe of Tony Baker.
The onboards are actually a marvellous advertisement for the following car. For the car that's following through, those sponsors are getting an immense amount of airtime. Now, I hope you don't mind me saying this. For the second night in succession. Whoa, there goes Adam Lavis. Got by Tony Baker. Got it done. Henderson got Gill in the process as well. And 7th is Brendan Nealon at the moment. Right there, waiting, hovering, working, waiting to pounce. I hope you don't mind me saying this. It's the 4th time this week that I've foregone watching home and away at 7 o'clock before we get on air. I'm none too pleased about it. So I'm looking forward to the end of the broadcast and going and doing that in the innings break of the Australia-South Africa match. That's what my Thursday night looks like. What about yours, ladies and gentlemen? Does it look as logjam congested as this? They were 4 wide there a moment ago. Down the main straight at Zandvoort. These blokes are insane. There's something to be said about brainwaves and brain capacity when it comes to Formula V. I reckon... The no-holds-barred, no-fear approach to some of these blokes, there's got to be a couple of screws loose upstairs. The same applies to XL racing, and the same applies to all motorcycle racing.
Yeah, a little bit. To me, I'm just watching a very high-stakes, high-octane version of Leapfrog.
Yes. Now, Hendo decides that he wants to lead the train. Baker wants to follow him through. Displaces Lavis. Have a look at also Brendan Nealon and Grant Gill. Gill down the inside again of Lavis. Lavis has dropped 2 spots in the space of half a lap. 11 minutes gone. Back to the line. 2 to go this time. And Grant Gill on the precipice of a top 5 finish. Back we go. Around the outside, can't get it done. Lavis has too much drive up the corner. And covering off Baker was Hendo, but that opened the door for Lavis, who won't wait for a second invitation. Watch Lavis dive under brakes here. Gotcha, thanks for coming. Does it nicely, does it cleanly, but then gets hung out to dry, and that opens the door for Grant, who might nearly go about pushing Baker.
Oh, they touch!
Contact Baker and Lavis. Lavis trying to get down on the inside. He got it done. Oh, boy. Baker with so much power and speed off the corner getting pushed through by Gill. Baker's going to hold third for the moment. 2 to go. Watch them fan out across the main straight here in a moment. Lavis to the inside. Gill tucked back in. Lavis trying to cover off for Brendan Nealon. Tony Baker. No, I was right the first time around. It is Baker on his outside. It's Nealon behind him. It's Gill in the middle. And they've let Hendo bolt. Poor old Kevin Henderson has no one to play with right now. But he might appreciate that in the sense that it's been so hard fought. It's been frantic and frenetic for most of this race. He's got an opportunity, and an ever so slight one at that, to breathe and collect his thoughts and go about attacking the rest of the race from there. Can he salvage third. And then put himself in a very nice position to have a crack in the final race tonight. Merritt still second place, now 5 seconds ahead of Henderson, but in his own right, 5.5 seconds behind Sam Chapman, who, when we caught up with him pre-race, Daniel Correa was very, very much looking forward to this track and this race and these cars tonight.
Yeah, he did mention that he was feeling good, and
well, that was before race one went tits up.
That was true. Yeah, so obviously in race one didn't go his way, but then he managed to start at the front, and by golly, did he use all of that to his advantage, punching out a 5.6 second lead now to John Merritt, and John Merritt is no slow coach. He is very fast. So for you to be 5.6 seconds ahead of him, you're cooking.
You're doing well. Yeah. And Merritt's a former champion in this caper as well. Down the inside, Baker and Gill. 5th and 6th, so the horse is bolted. And Nolan Lavis gone. White flag flies at Zandvoort. Gill on the outside, Baker the inside, Nealon in there as well. Nealon waiting for an invitation. Actually, that's good. We've duplicated Barney at Zandvoort.
Yeah, there's two of them.
That's very cleverly done.
It's to make up for all the times he doesn't do his job.
It's to make up for all the tracks where he's gone MIA, gone AWOL. Whoa. So Gill on the outside, moves across to cover off. Oh, actually, hang on. Whoa, look at that. Brendan Nealon under serious assault now. Hayden Schultz trying to claw his way back into the fight here and does so. And now the next target for Schultz is Gill and Baker. And Gill goes to 5th. Baker to 6th, but it's about to be 7th because Schultz is coming through at a rapid rate on the inside. And Schultz now moves out into 6th position. Will it be 5th before the end of the lap? Grant Gill has a tremendously difficult challenge and task ahead of him here to keep these two at bay. Not only Baker, but also Schultz, especially Schultz. There with a sore head, probably, Schultzy, after blowing 3rd place on the grid into an early race incident. But now he's going to have a clear crack at Grant Gill in the final sector of the lap. Now back at the front, Chapo's going to win in the canter. It's 6 seconds the margin. John Merritt has got the job done on Kevin Henderson and Adam Lavis, but who's it going to be there? Will it be Lavis in a photo again, but this time for the final spot on the podium? A bridesmaid, if you like. John Merritt clinical to 2nd, but the race was defined by early moments that left us with wide, sprawling, spanning margins. Sam Chapman's a race winner in Formula B now as well. And 2nd's going to go to John Merritt. Could be a photo finish again between Lavis and Henderson. Lavis and Henderson, Lavis and Henderson, Lavis! And he got it again! Oh, the 2nd time tonight, Lavis finds himself in a photo finish from podium position. And he's been on the winning side of the ledger twice. Baker got the better of Gill. Gill held off Schultz. Schultz held off Nealon. Adam Tice came home with the fastest lap of the race, 1:59.010. And Joe Baldwin got back to 10th. It doesn't get much better than this. Watch him here. Hendo the inside, Lavis the outside, the momentum off the banking, and whammo.
Should come into frame in just a moment. I've got this a little too slow, I think.
It's Queensland slow. Bang.
Look.
Oh, there it is. Half a car length that time round. So he's a little bit more comfortable, but nothing about tonight has been comfortable for Adam Lavis. He has been in the thick of it from first until last, and there's still one race to go. Another 8 laps of this, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, we've got the Porsches coming up, Daniel, and we should take this opportunity to let everybody know that it's a very new, a new look, a new feel to the Porsches this season because it's missing its powerhouse, its stalwart, its mainstay. The 7-time champion, Matt Dench.
Yeah, that's right. He told us earlier on in the season that he wouldn't be attending all the events. He'd be attending a select few. So that's going to really open up the potential for a new... it is flat out going to open up the potential for a new champion. But who it is that's going to take up that mantle, we don't know. But that will lead to a very, very intense season ahead of us, and I am all for it.
Oh, indeed. Now, it's important to remember, ladies and gentlemen, that this is Thursday Night Motorsport. This is the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Our platforms are Facebook, Twitch, and also YouTube. We couldn't do it without the great support of our Season 15 sponsors, 2023 Term 4, or D, or whatever you want to call it. And they include Waste Options, Orbic Australia, Login Systems, Play One Sim Gear, Lobsy Racing, Mware Australia, and Flash Graphics. And Daniel Correa-Sar, you're the link, I guess you could say, between us and Mware. It is great to have a new sponsor on board, M-Wave, I should say, on the platforms of the GSRC this season. Tell us a little bit about M-Wave, please.
Oh, look, we're just a humble tech retailer, and we pride ourselves in our quality and service. And so, yes, if anybody is after any new upgrades for their tech, whether it be computer-related, we actually cover a whole variety of tech, whether it be computers, TVs, networking, storage, printers, you name it, we do it. So, yes, if anybody needs anything, by all means, check us out. And also, don't forget that if you are a member of the GSRC, or even if you're not, but there is an affiliation link available in the GSRC Discord, use that, and anything that you purchase, the club will get a cut of that as well. So that'll help towards all the operating costs.
And very quickly, going around the grounds as we wait for the rest of the warm-up session to play out on the clock here, to tick away to 2 minutes, and then we'll get cars back on the grid. Around the grounds for you, the 10th match of the Cricket World Cup. South Africa none for 53 after 10 overs, having been sent into bat by the Australians. Going along nicely at the moment, none for 53. Cars on the grid now, ready for the third and final race of round 3. Race 9 of the campaign, GSRC Formula V. And the main course on a Thursday night. Dessert tonight, however, ladies and gentlemen, should be bloody delicious, because it is the Porsche Cup from Sandown. Now, if that's not worth an extra 10 bums on seats, I'm not here. Set for a start. It'll be Chapman and Merritt the front row, Lavis and Henderson the second row, Baker and Gill the third, then Schultz and Neal on the fourth, Tyson Baldwin the fifth, Noble from the sixth row. And alongside Noble there, you will see Phil King, Adam Johnson, and Jonathan Hooper from the seventh row, Steve Hoppert and Adam Ambo St. John from the eighth row, Wayne Visser and Lane Thoburn from the ninth row. Set for start, the third and final one of round 3. Week 3, night 4, turn 4. Let's go. Chapman a good start. Chapman's got the jump. Chapman will hold off. John Merritt to turn 1. Lavis wants to go with him and go around the outside, but it doesn't work. It's to no avail for the moment. It's single file for the first half dozen or so, as the rest of the field sorts itself out to turn 4. That is a slow start for Chris Noble, but there are 2 cars off on the outside. They include Adam Johnson, Tony Baker as well. Uh-oh. And Grant Gill caught up in that as an innocent bystander. That's unfortunately. That's unfortunate for us tonight, Daniel, in the sense that we've had 3 starts and we've had first lap incidents in all 3 races thus far.
Yeah, and unfortunately, something that's very easy to do in the Formula Vs, just due to the nature of how they handle pencil tyres, and a pencil body shop for that matter, but pencil thin tyres, and so anytime you've got cold tyres, especially with that small bit of tread, you've got to take it easy. But the problem is, how can you take it easy when you've got 4, 5, 6, 7 people around you, right? You're all battling for position, so things start to heat up, except your tyres, and then you go a little bit too fast, you spin, and then what happens is the people behind you are trying to be so close that they can't react in time, and so you get like what just happened there with Tony Baker. He spins, Grant Gill can't get out of the way, and Schultz ended up getting caught up with that, trying to go around the outside.
Again, yep. So Schultze's been caught up in incidents in all 3 races thus far. Down in 15th place, Adam Johnson down there in 17th. Tony Baker stuck in pit lane at the moment on the tow rope. Steve Hoppert again down the far end of the order, 3 wide for the fight for second place at the moment. Across the line we go. Racing incident between Grant Gill and Tony Baker on lap 1. Have a look at that. Sam Chapman the lunge down the inside to displace Kevin Henderson, and Henderson's now got to be mindful of the presence of Adam Lavis as well, who wants to force the issue on the run to turn 3 and go up the inside and does so, but he's on the outside for 4. However, if he rides the banking, he'll cover off Henderson with consumer ease.
So Henderson really did lose out there, and he's dropped back significantly outside the 5/10 mark. So now Lavis goes around the outside. He'll get into P2 with Sam Chapman close behind. John Merritt in a decent spot right now, but as he was coming down the main straight that last lap, it must have looked terrifying in those mirrors, seeing a 3 wide pace of rivals coming down on him. That has now turned into a single line, but Lavis is not letting this go. I am very curious if he can make it a 3-for-3 photo finish.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me if he could. Oh boy, it's all happening here at the moment. We're on lap 2 of 8. Race 3, round 3, Formula V, Thursday Night Motorsport, Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We've got Steve Hobbit and Tony Baker in pit lane. In fact, Tony Baker's a lap down, having rejoined on the tow rope. That'll actually correct itself, so he'll still be on the lead lap, but iRacing will take its time to make up its mind that he is still on the lead lap. However, they're well and truly out of contention here. Aiden Schultz had to come to pit lane for a fast repair, so he's out of contention as well, you would suspect. The race is at the front. It's between the top 5. It's Merritt, Lavis, Chapman, Henderson and Noble. Noble having a look up there on the outside. Got the better of Henderson, thanks for coming. Up into 4th place he goes now. Lavis. No, can't get it done. John Merritt will control the field for a little bit longer as they head through turn 1 once more.
Zandvoort is not a track that you really want to be leading per se. The only lap that really counts is the last one, but there's enough distance between the exit of the final turn, which is turn 14, and the finish line where you can really get caught. So it's interesting to see that Adam is trying to get past so fast. We're only 4 minutes and 40 seconds into the race, so there's plenty of race still to go, but it seems like he's wasting absolutely no time. Now, if he's got the pace, which he certainly does, last lap he did a 2:00.04 with John Merritt doing a 2:0.2, so he's got the pace, but I think the draft is a little powerful here on that lead up to the line, so I don't think it's in the best interest to lead this race, but try telling a driver not to lead a race.
That's true. That is very true. The place that you want to be, for the most part, is the front. But you don't want to be starting the last lap at the front end of town. Wow! That was close. That was definitely contact. That was a little bit of a bubble and wobble for Adam Lavis. Noble on the inside, got the bow of Lavis, and now goes out of pursuit of Merritt. There was definitely contact between Merritt and Lavis.
Yeah, it's all about momentum, these cars, and Chris just had more of it going into that section. But as you'll see, as they come around turn 14, the banking, just take a look. John's leading this race nice and smooth. Chris is going to try and tuck up right underneath that car, and he's going to get an insane burst of speed. So he breaks out. Guess who's going to do the same? Chapman. Lavis is almost getting boxed in. He is going to get boxed in. That's a smart move from Chapman to shoot up on the inside, and he might even take the lead with this.
Whoa! Chapman with the lunge. Merritt got hung out to dry. Lavis back to 3rd. Chapman back to the pointy end of town. Merritt back courtesy of the slip trim and throw from Noble and Lavis for the moment. Noble to the inside to the lead at 4. And Chapman up around the outside. Gets the better of Merritt. The momentum carries Adam Lavis through with him as well in the 2x2 through the back section of the circuit. I was unsold. I was not sold on what the sort of quality entertainment would get from Formula V around here. I'm happy to be proven wrong. Excellent choice so far from Chapo. Noble to the inside and back to the lead. Try and keep count of the number of lead changes the next short while, ladies and gentlemen. It could get into double digits pretty quickly.
What's crazy too is the last race we saw, Sam Chapman well and truly ahead and everyone else behind him fighting. Now, everybody is fighting for the lead, but they've got to be careful because the problem is Chris Noble is very, very fast around here. His best lap this race was a 158.52. The closest to him was Grant Gill with a 159.41. That is almost a second difference. So Chris Noble is absolutely flying. If these guys don't ease up on the fighting, Chris might break out a lead like Sam Chapman did in the second race, and they don't want that. What they want is to be able to be within attack range so that when the final lap comes, they can have a race. They can have a race all the way to the end. And what would be crazy is if they could be so close enough so that when they come out of the exit of that turn, we could see a 4 wide to the line. I don't want to jinx it.
No.
But I'm hoping that's something that we can see.
Down the main straight. Half race distance. 4 down and 4 to go. They're reeling Noble back in. Chapman was up there on the outside of Merritt, but had to back out of it to get across and cover off Adam Lavis. Through we go. Oh boy. If anyone's going to track down Chris Noble, I reckon it's going to be it's going to be John Merritt. The old experienced hand of Formula V racing. Brendan Nealon and Adam Tyson a battle further back. So too Joe Baldwin and Grant Gill. Lane Thoburn and Brendan Nealon are all over the back of Adam Tyson. Phil King's all over the back of Jonathan Hooper. Everything beyond that, distant foregone conclusion at the moment. Thursday night motorsport on the platforms, the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We go around Sandown for 40 minutes with the Porsches as soon as we're done here. And that race getting underway at 9 Eastern Daylight Time.
Yeah, there's been some steady battles all throughout the grid, but unfortunately, the crazy one is right up the front. You have 5 cars fighting for the lead of this race. Chris Noble is only 4 tenths ahead of the man in P2. That is John Hot Lap Merritt. And as his name suggests, he is rapid in these cars, and he is very quickly chasing him down. Anytime that there is a straight, the gap dwindles. They come up into the chicane complex here. John is being very smart. He's not looking for a deep dive move. Instead, he wants to just tuck in. He knows that the draft is going to be powerful coming to the back end of this circuit. They'll come around the banking on turn 14, and that's where he'll make his move down the long straight. We still have 4 minutes left in this race. We're at 9:50 right now. And there are no signs of this battle slowing. Sam Chapman has put a little bit of a gap between him and Adam Lavis in P4, and it looks like Kevin Henderson might have something to say about that as he tries to take it, going around the outside.
Down the main straight. Lavis and Henderson all of a sudden left fighting for squabbling for the minors. John Merritt to the inside of Noble for the lead. John Merritt takes the lead away from Chris Noble. Sam Chapman's in there as well. 3 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. Hold your breath. Hold your breath. Chapman all over the back of Noble. Noble all over the back of Merritt. Merritt driving a beautiful line out of turn 4 to get the run across the back section of the circuit. Put himself on the inside, knowing full well that that's where he needs to be. It's on the outside now, but it'll be on the inside the next 3 corners. That will suit him. That will serve him well. Have a look at Hendo and Lavis being slowly left behind here. They need to find a way to latch back onto the train. 3-way fight at the moment. For the outright win. And we could well and truly have 3 different race winners and as many starts tonight if John Merritt gets up and gets it done here, or Chris Noble as well. Merritt, of course, a stalwart in Formula V. Lavis winning race 1, Chapman race 2. Noble's gone without a win tonight by the skin of his teeth in race 1. And Merritt would love nothing more than to win the feature of the night. And we've got 2 laps to go next time by the line.
That's actually a decent gap between Chapman and Lavis here. He's expanded it to 1.2 seconds. That is a problem. The draft is not that powerful. You can't be that far back and benefit from the draft of the cars ahead. So There's going to have to be either significant battling at the front, which will slow them down enough to allow that gap to decrease, and that might allow Lavis to get back in this fight and bring Kevin Henderson with him. Otherwise, what will happen is these three will have their own fight as they go 3 wide down to the first turn, and they're going to leave PE 4 and 5 in their own little battle.
There's your first 3 wide photo finish potentially of the night. Round the outside goes Noble. Down the inside comes Merritt. Chapman tucks back in. Now they're 3 wide again, but this time Merritt's in the middle. Now Chapman again tucks back in.
See, that's the speed is so...
Feeling it early.
Merritt hard to beat from here. Maybe. What I'll give you is this, Greg. He's very, very fast, and right now he's in the draft. But Noble was so smart to use the outside line of turn 1. So Chapman got slowed up by Merritt, who's trying to take the inside line. Noble doesn't have that problem. He carries the speed around the outside, and he overtook them into turn 3. Now he'll be in the lead of this race, but what have we learned from this? You can't be in the lead of this race for too long because the guy behind you is going to get the draft. So now this is just going to be a very, very aggressive back and forth, or Chris will have to try and sacrifice some of the speed into corners to pull up and hold the cars behind and then get back on the power faster than they can, and then maybe he can maintain his lead.
It's all happening here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Now, have a look down the inside. Noble, Merritt. Will Merritt have a lunge? No. We set ourselves up for potentially the first and only grandstand finish of the night. Let's see if I can make last lap Zach happen at very short notice. All right, we're making our way around onto the main straight. The white flag will be in the air. The last lap will be upon us. Let's go. And right now I can tell you that it's Noble, it's Merritt, it's Chapman, it's Lavis. It's a 5-way fight. Hendo's in there as well. Merritt to the inside and Noble to the outside. And in the middle is Chapman, and moving further across to the inside is Lavis, trying to cover off Chapman. Couldn't do it. Chapman to the inside, Noble to the outside, and Merritt holding sway for now. Hendo not without a chance here of scraping onto the podium. Merritt, Noble, Chapman, Lavis and Henderson. They get to turn 4 for the last time, and Merritt still got the advantage. Out of there they go. The run through the back section of the circuit now. This windy, twisty, technical section of the track here at Zandvoort in the Netherlands. And look at Adam Lavis trying to get up on the inside of Noble. Noble wants to go to the outside because Merritt didn't give him a choice. Merritt gets across then to cover it off, opens up the door. Lavis, opportunistic down the inside. Squeezes down the inside of Noble. Looks to take Chapman with him. Chapman going for it down the inside for third. Can't get it done just yet. But he's got the running, he's got the inside advantage for the second of the right-handers, and now he'll go. Displaces Noble momentarily. Noble still hanging there, hanging tough to the left-hand side, goes down the inside. The door's open for Hendo to have a crack, can't get it done. Lavis and Merritt have bolted. They've got breathing space. Can Lavis get 3 from 3 on the photo finish front? We'll wait and see. 4 corners to go. It's a race in 2. Noble has his hands full dealing with Chapman and Henderson. Lavis and Merritt have bolted. Here we go. Lavis needs a tremendous run off the final corner. What about that from Chapman?
No!
Great job on Noble, and Noble, unfortunately, puffs it up. Quite in the dirt. And that's that. John Merritt's going to fend off Adam Lavis. John Merritt's going to get the job done. 3 different winners at Zandvoort. Merritt wins from Lavis.
Oh, and Chapman pips Kevin Henderson.
Between Chapman and Hendo, and Chapman got it. And it all happened as a result of Chris Noble being pushed wide and the car getting unsettled and unstable in the dirt there at turn 12 and 13, and that was curtains.
Oh.
John Merritt with the most comfortable of our photo finish margins of the night, 0.22 of a second. Not the biggest winning margin of the night, the second biggest, but comfortable in terms of relativeness to Adam Lavis, because Adam's been involved in 2 photos tonight. Sam Chapman was 1.5 back behind Lavis, and then Hendo, 0.01. So, very similar to Noble and Lavis in race 1, except for the battle for third. Chapman hits Hendo and gets back on the podium. That's brilliant. And Noble rounded out the top 5 after that bobble through the last 2 corners. The only mistake he made all night, really. The other incident, he was caught up in somebody else's garbage. So, Joe Baldwin, a good fight back to 6th. Grant Gill, Adam Tice, Brendan Nealon, and Jonathan Hooper. How about that? Phil King was just outside the top 10, 0.05 offered, in fact, in that battle with Hooper, who got the last of the positions available in the top 10. Aidan Schultz was 12th. And Ambo, Adam Johnson, Wayne Visser, Tony Baker, and Steve Hoppert will come across the line and take the checkered flag this time by Wayne Thoburn a lap down.
Well, did you expect that kind of level? This is easily the best.
I don't think so.
Easily the best Formula V we've seen so far.
Hey, I'm going to jump in and go with some breaking news on the motorsport front, my friend. Lewis Bahaja, the Championship Series leader currently in New South Wales, has just submitted an entry for the Hyundai XL Nationals in Western Australia. He goes into Sunday's round with the championship lead. He goes there into Sydney Motorsport Park looking to win his first Series X3 New South Wales Championship. Then he's going to jump on a plane and go to Perth and try and win a national title as well. So we cannot wait to see how that plays out for Louis Bahaja in 2 weeks' time. That's exciting. Of course, I'm going over West in 2 weeks' time to cover the event. More on that in due course. But yes, I just got that notification. It just popped up as we're on air here. Lewis Bahaja will represent New South Wales on the biggest stage of the XL racing season in WA. Fantastic stuff. There are the results. Let me catch my breath. And Daniel Correa-Sar, I'll let you take it up from here and just remind everybody of who did what and how.
Not a problem. So John Merritt comes across in first for the third race in round 3 here at Zandvoort, and he did it in style, managing to hold off Adam Lavis by 0.2 of a second to take that top spot. Lavis in P2. Sam Chapman winning by the length of a bee's hair for P3, winning by, have a look at that point, 1.784 to 1.793. It was actually 0.001 between himself and Kevin Henderson. Chris Noble in P5. Joe Baldwin comes across in P6. Grant Gill, P7. Adam Tice, P8. Brendan Nealon in P9. And Jonathan Hooper rounds out your top 10. Phil King, Aidan Schultz, Ambo St. John, Adam Johnson, Wayne Visser, Tony Baker, Steve Hoppert, Lane Thoburn, and Philip Howe, and Chris Stark take out the top 20. And
Starkey was a non-starter.
That's right. That's right. He was down 8 laps there, so he was.
Starkey start. In saying that as well, the only one that dropped out during the course of the night, as I said, was Philip Howe on the short hop and skip and jump down to Amsterdam from Zandvoort. So, what a night that was, eh? Magnificent stuff. Great racing. I don't think any of us were disappointed with any of that. John Merritt, the winner. In that third and final race, but Sam Chapman got one in the middle. Adam Lavis won the first race. Joining us to have a chat about all of that was Joe Baldwin and Aidan Schultz. I'll get the trucker in just a moment. Schultzy, oh dear, you couldn't take a trick tonight, could you? Caught up in incidents in all 3 races, I think I'm right in saying. So very quickly off the cloud 9, as they say, of Monday night, and back to reality very quickly, unfortunately, my friend. Zandvoort was always going to be a challenging stop, but I'm sure, given what we've seen, that you're happy to see the back of that.
Actually, no, that was a heap of fun. That was good.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, I was really quick. I felt quick. It was good. I just ran out of ability in the first 2 races and spun it around and had to make my way back through. And then, unfortunately, got caught up in someone else's incident, which I did in the first 2 races. So, old Chapo, we were off the pole in the second race or the third race, I believe, and the second race, and I got the lead on him, and I was excited. I'm like, yeah, all right, we can go off into the distance, and I just ran out of ability. But I tell you what, it was a lot of fun. Driving was pretty much pretty good from everyone, and it was some good battles all across the track. So, good night in the office. Results weren't the best, but racing is the winner on the night.
Indeed. In saying all of that, though, mate, as you say, results weren't what they were. Racing definitely the winner on the night. Geez, you must have been pinching yourself to be a part of that. You would have been hoping to be part of that. It just wasn't to be.
Yeah, mate. Like I think I would have had pace to, like, it's all could have, should have, would have, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I had the pace to be up there. I think Chapo will tell you the same thing. He obviously executed those second 2 races with the reverse grid very, very well. I didn't, so, you know, mate, shoulda, coulda, woulda. But at the end of the day, it was great racing, and I loved coming back through the pack there in the second race to get into, I think, 8th position, and we had some great racing. So that's what it's all about. We're a community, and yeah, it was great racing, mate.
To be fair, when you are involved in an incident and you lose the train, so much of the onus then goes back on you as a driver and your racecraft and the way you steer this thing, especially on a circuit like this, which is a bit more technical and challenging than a lot of the other circuits we normally run a Formula V race on, mate.
Yeah, 100%. And in the second race, I did that, and that's how it dragged me up onto the back of pretty much to the back of P2 in that little train. I said to the boys in Discord, like, I'm surprised I even got up into the top 8 after facing the wrong way twice in 2 races. So definitely had the pace, but did not execute well at all tonight. And the third race, unfortunately, Steve Hoppert went around in front of me and nowhere to go. So that's motorsport, mate, and we keep going. But big congrats to Sam. He drove well all night. He was in Discord in the first race, and he was having a bit of bandwidth issues, so he jumped out of Discord and did his own thing. But he executed well, and yeah, mate. First time in the V's, actually in the GSRC. So I was just happy to be there or thereabouts and be competing and having a run.
All right, mate. Next stop, as far as the V's are concerned, Daniel might be able to show the calendar to everybody at home to give us a reminder of what's coming up. I'm really excited about the next couple of weeks. I'm gutted that I'm in Perth when we go to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I'm really disappointed about not being on air that night. But next week, Ridge-Coker Motor Centre, so a circuit not as synonymous with real-world motorsport as a lot of the mainstream stuff that we see, mate. I mean, at least Zandvoort, we get to go and watch Formula 1 there once a year. But it's not dissimilar to Zandvoort in the way that it is a little bit tight, it is a little bit technical, but there seems to be a little bit more width and real estate to play with. So for Formula V around there, it should be good fun.
Yeah, it will be, mate. Don't know if I'll be there. I'll try and get there. I just jumped in tonight, but yeah, it's a good track. Definitely different to, well, not really different to what we've seen tonight per se, as you just segued to, but a few more walls, a few more challenges for the boys. But it was good to see everyone turn out tonight, and I hope it was great racing on the broadcast, because I tell you what, from the driver's seat, it was pretty hot and heavy, and it was fun as. So yeah, hopefully I can get there next week and be able to be a part of it. We'll see whether I've got the time to do so. But yeah, mate, we'll see how we go. But I'm sure you guys did a great job in the broadcast booth, as you always do. And my man Daniel Carriasar there doing the cameras, no doubt. And you're going to go across to the Porsches now as well, very shortly as well.
We certainly are. I was going to say, with compliments and praise like that, you're welcome back anytime. Good on you, mate. Thank you. Go well for the rest of the night.
No worries, mate. You have a great night, and we'll talk to you shortly.
Enjoy the weekend as well, mate. Nice to catch up with you as always. I look forward to Monday night once more. Of course, Aidan Schultz is the voice behind the microphone that you'll hear on a Wednesday night throughout the course of the season here on the platform for GSRC as well. Trucker, I can't go to at the moment, so I'll go to Sam Chapman. Nice recovery, mate. So race one didn't necessarily go to plan. You got caught up in some garbage early in the piece. It was deemed netcode, but a nice recovery right throughout the rest of the evening. You brought some clear real estate very early in the piece in race 2, walked on with it, very comfortable, commanding win. You had to work a little bit harder for a podium in race 3.
Yeah, race 1, I was just, the frame rate fell apart as soon as the race started. I also missed the start. The green light came up remarkably quickly that race. I wasn't paying too much attention. So, frame rate fell apart, and then I went around, and so happy to get back into 10th. That sort of saved things for the night, and it's 2 brilliant races. I mean, the second one was a bit lonely, but that final race, that battle up the front was unreal. Lost out towards the end there. We all sort of started battling a bit much and brought it back into a group of 5 again, but so much fun up there.
And how clean was it as well, mate? Only really one touch of wheels at the very end there as yourself and Chris Noble, I think it might have been, or actually Hendo and Noble, my apologies, got caught up, and Noble scraped the dirt, and that took him out of the fight. Only really one incident, and it was a minor one, in 15 minutes of cracking racing.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I think that track just really lends to it. The way that it all banks, it's quite wide. And, you know, it's a short straight for F1, but it's a long straight for Formula Vs, and a lot of those sections that might be turns for some cars aren't. So, yeah, I think as well, everyone was still sort of getting the hang of the track in the Vs too. You could tell that there was still a lot of time left on the table from most of the guys as they were still trying to sort of work their way around. It's not like an Oran Park or a Canadian Tire Motorsport Park that you've probably been to heaps of times in cars like this.
And on the subject of circuits we haven't gone to too many times, next week is Rudskogen Motor Centre, Norway, one of the new circuits on the server. We saw this either early this year or very late last year. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Rudskogen lends to these cars really well. It's obvious, it's very twisty and doesn't have the same straights, but so you probably won't get that full slipstream in the same respect as you're going to pass them by the end of the straight by a long way. But it will lend to some good racing through there, and a little bit tricky at times. There's especially in those sort of high-speed sweeper down the bottom there where it's a bit bumpy. Hard to see a few cars go around, I'd imagine, and through that sort of tight technical bit in the middle there.
And with regards to the championship as a whole, mate, a good fight back tonight to solid results to go with race 1 and the salvage mission. We're looking good. Yeah,
no, it is looking good. Yeah, very fortunate that we got that reverse pole and could sort of run away with that, and that obviously set up the feature as well. I think there's a few 0Xs thrown in too, which is great. But yeah, no, looking good. I know. Wow, now John's around. That'll be interesting to see if he sticks around for the rest of the season. And Chris and Tony as well, looking really quick out there. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good battle ahead.
Indeed. Chapo, stay with me. I'll come back to you when we get off air in just a moment. I can't go to Joe Baldwin at this point because he's muted at his end on the other side of the Noah ball, but I'll be over there in a fortnight and looking forward to catching up with the great man in person for the first time ever. He's actually going to come out and have a look at what's going on at carco.com.au Raceway, which I'll have more on next week. The breaking news from there is that Louis Bahage is on his way over to contest the Nationals in WA this year against Zane Rinaldi from Queensland, and also Ethan Griggolt from Victoria. Asher Johnston, the South Australians, a late withdrawal from the event as he focused on Aussie racing cars for 2024, and then the rest is made up of the WA locals, so there's a real black and gold feeling to it as we head over west. Quickly going around the ground, South Africa after 16 overs, none for 97 after being sent into bat by the Australians in the 10th match, Australia's second of the ICC Cricket World Cup. That one, of course, being played in India, and you can watch that on 9Gem and 9 Now. 9 Now, of course, it switches over to the main channel after the block at 9 o'clock local time in all markets. So that's exciting. We're going to go to a break on the platforms of the GSRC. We are 12 minutes away from Porsche racing from Sandown. We'll be back with you closer to the top of the hour, 9 Eastern Daylight Time, as our coverage of Thursday Night Motorsport. One Make Thursday continues. 3 different winners so far in Formula V. Let's see what the Porsches deliver when we get to Sandown, one of the great tracks in Australian motorsport on the other side of this. Hope you can stay with us. Thursday Night Motorsport for you on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Welcome to part 2 of the doubleheader on a Thursday night. And welcome to Sandown International Motor Raceway in Victoria for round 3. And a sprint round at that, not a super sprint round as what we've had for season finales or the 2-race format that we've had in the last couple of weeks, but a short, sharp 40-minute sprint race here, as opposed to the 60-minute mini enduros we'll have later in the season for the Porsche Cup. And we've got the Elite and the Open split on track tonight. And there's the lay of the land for you. And if you hear the rain pelting down behind me, ladies and gentlemen, it's just the tin roof doing its work from just beyond the broadcast point here at Mum and Dad's in Cessnock. We are ready to rock and roll. It's going to be a great night of racing. Sandown International Motor Raceway, 3.1 kilometres. We're at 9:40 in the morning, but that'll be updated in just a moment. It currently says the ambient is 17 and the track tab is 21. Don't worry about that either, because that too will be updated shortly when the checkered flag flies on qualifying and we update into the race server. The big news from Sandown is that one M. Dench is back on track tonight, having missed last week. He's not committed to the full campaign, but he will ruffle some feathers while he is here. Samuel, the leader of the championship in the boat, 113 place. Brendan Whittaker, 92. Jake Jackson, 90. 85 for Paul Wilson. Anthony Adsett, 83. 78 for Andrew Dutch. 73 for Nick Wood and 65 for Matt Dench make up the top 8 in the standings at the moment. No surprise to anybody that Chris Whittaker was promoted, if you like, slotted into the elite split here after making his maiden start at the Porsches last week. The front row of the grid is Matthew Dench and Brendan Whittaker. The second row is Ben Pedersen and Jared Knight. The third row, Magnus Roney and Jake Jackson. Fourth row, Chris Whittaker and Dane Snowden. Fifth row, Anthony Adsett and John Merritt. Sixth row, Joe Baldwin and Nick Wood. Seventh row, Joe's the leader of the Open split, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Seventh row, Tony Baker and Paul Wilson. Eighth row, Brett Bradbury, Adam Lavis. Ninth row, Dale Sharp, Stephen Gallacher. 10th row, Tristan Kosh, Adam Tusk. That and Guy Leach will round out the field. You move one cable and it just unrattles everything. We're ready to rock and roll. This is Thursday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club from Sandown. Daniel Correa-Sara alongside Zach Caban. We are ready to go. It should be a lot of fun. This second part of the doubleheader, what we normally refer to as dessert on a Thursday night, having just experienced the main course with Formula V from Zandvoort. If you're just joining us, the Cricket World Cup underway. Australia won the toss, set South Africa in. The South Africans, the Proteas, after 20 overs and won for 108. More on that a little bit later, because we're going to get to work here at Sandown in Victoria. Trouble off the start. That's Tony Baker in the wall before we even get to turn 1. In an incident that we've seen before on so many occasions here. Oh, more trouble. There goes Brendan Whittaker, crawling across the grass. Joe Baldwin with him as well. Trouble from the outset at Sandown. More trouble than you can poke a stick at. More trouble than it's worth. Jared Knight's got up in the third spot. Magnus Roney is fourth. Ben Pedersen jumps up in the second spot. Matty Dench, clear leader at the moment as they head down to Dandenong Road for the first time. 40 minutes the journey here. Beautiful afternoon in Victoria. Unlike what we saw today in the real world. But apparently iRacing is still working on the rain, ladies and gentlemen. It's still coming. And so is Christmas. To the final 2 corners we go. I'm back to the main straight. Dench leads. Patterson second. Knight third. No Sam Muir tonight. That's the big talking point from the outset here. No Sam Muir. Drop round number 1 for the leader of the championship. As they head down the main straight, into turn 1 once more. And they're heading for in excess of 30 laps here tonight at Sandown, with a splash and dash thrown in for good measure. Guy Leach didn't start the race. That's the only bit of news we have for you. Stephen Galatrop did the start from pit lane. He won't be good to go to the end. He's giving himself an automatic invoice for the rest of the night. But that's okay. John Merritt on the outside there. To the main straight they come. Fending off Adam Lavis for the moment. As he gets by Paul Wilson. Oh, sorry, no, he gets by Nick Wood. Nick Wood's in trouble. Nick Wood is in trouble. Coming out onto the main straight, Nick Wood is off the road. And Nick Wood is in pit lane. Watch this. Oh, bang. End of the tyres. Nasty. So Dench leads, and then Pedersen second, followed by Knight, Roney, and Jackson. Run the gap back to Chris Whitaker, a gap back to Anthony Adsen. He wanted to stop the rock with Anthony getting the better of him. Chris, he's out making, making a statement at the moment in the early stages here and making good on that promise to improve his relationship with the car and get a better grip of it so that he could displace Anthony Adsen. He wanted to stop the rod, he wasn't having a bar of it, and now he's making good on that. Dench, 1 minute 8.79 to the main straight as we complete lap number 2. Remembering that lap number 3 I should say, remembering that this is 40 minutes time certain. So if we're rounding it up and saying a minute 10 a lap, that's 6 laps every 7 minutes, which would give you 36 laps in 42 minutes. But we're not going 42 minutes, so you're probably looking at somewhere in the vicinity of 34 laps, 35 laps at best, with a splash and dash. That's if we don't get a safety car, of course. Five laps in. We've only just started lap 5. We're riding on board with John Merritt. He's sitting 10th at the moment. First of the open split cars is following him in Adam Lavis in 11th place. Joe Baldwin has recovered to 3rd in class. Brendan Whitaker off the right again. Brendan Whitaker off the right again. Brendan Whitaker. His night goes from bad to worse. And we're following Brett Bradbury here, and Whitaker's locked it up, lit it up, and slid it off. Just ahead of him. Unbelievable. That's madness. Doing rather well. Doing rather well. Don't forget post-race show coming up as soon as we're done here, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll wrap it up for Thursday night and reconvene again next Monday night. Here's another replay for you. And this time round, it's Tony Baker doing exactly what Nick Wood did a few moments ago. That's brilliant. Exactly. Don't lose as much time when you don't have to get on the tow rope, when you can limp at the pit lane. Listen to the sound of the Porsche hard at work. I'm just, whilst we go here as well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just having a look at relative temperature, minimums and maximums, Ipswich to Cessnock, and just out of curiosity to see what it's like when, you know, you head back home and They're 112 years behind. Have a look at this in the meanwhile. Look at the traffic here for John Merritt. 3 wide on the run to turn 1. Someone has to give, surely. No. And trouble in shoes. Trouble in shoes. Poor old Anthony Adshead has been hung out to dry there. Something was brewing. We knew that something was going to happen. It was coming. They kept it clean for too long. They were too boxed in. They were too balked up and close up to one another. It only took one person to blink a second too late, and that's what happened there. John Merritt still sits ninth. So I'm having a look at what it would be like if I was up home at the moment, because I've got off the phone with the boss tonight, and I thought, well, it'll be interesting to see. 34, 32, 34, 36 the maximums for the next 4 days. And I'm like, no thanks, not having a bar of that. I'm back in progressive civilization at the moment in New South Wales, and Cessnock wasn't much better today. It was 33. But tomorrow, 26, then 30, then 31. Much more bearable, much more manageable. I'll stay down here and have the luxury of being an hour in front for a little while longer. Thank you very much for asking. Now down the main straight, down the inside, Magnus Roney for 4th. And he hangs Jake Jackson out to dry there, and Jackson has to yield. Oh, that's right. Exactly. 100%. Breaking news 7 minutes ago as well. We're doing the rounds tonight. Obviously, I'll bring you some more cricket information a little bit later on. Breaking news tonight. Ex-Formula One Supremo Bernie Ecclestone has pleaded guilty to fraud over a failure to declare €400 million held in a trust in Singapore. So Bernie Ecclestone pleads guilty to fraud. Is he too old for jail? Is he too, no, you're never too old for jail. He'll be right. Yeah, I was going to say, what's the plea deal? Does he give the $400 million as a, yeah. Absolutely. So, whilst we wait with bated breath to see what Bernie's going to do, I'm not talking about the adult film weekend at Bernie's either. I'm talking more about GSRC at the moment, and we're talking about the Porsches. And we're talking about 10 minutes gone, lap 9. We've got our eyes on Jared Knight making the move down the inside. And making it stick on the outside. No, he couldn't. He was too wide. He was forced out there. He's hung out to dry on the main straight. Now he has to reset, regroup, and go about doing it again, trying to get another way, find another way past Benny Pedersen. South Africa are up to 1 for 130. That's where I'm headed as soon as we're done here. That's going to be my seat on the couch for the rest of the night and what I'm viewing. Now, Pedersen, Jared Knight, still this battle rages. Meanwhile, just have a look at what Denchi's doing, please. We're 10 laps into the thing, he leads by 4.5 seconds. Are we surprised? No. Knight now wants to have a crack on the inside. Pedersen, smart. Awake to that. Got across, covered it off. Now we reset and go again down the main straight. Lap 10 done. Dench the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 8.412.
So Jared Knight's getting a little uneasy now. He had it closer on the last lap, went wide. This time didn't go wide, but Ben Pedersen managed to stay ahead before the final turn, which gave him the advantage. And so right now, 5/10 gap. Knight will get a decent draft down, I believe this is Dandenong Road here at Sandown. But I don't think it'll be close enough to make an attack. So it's going to have to be Ben Pedersen that'll make a mistake going into one of these corners. Or maybe even here, this transfer here can catch people really easily with a quick snap between left and right. But these guys get through safely. As, Jared Knight just extending all parts of the track, trying to gain maximum speed. But unfortunately, as they come back to the final sector of the lap, still behind. So more work ahead of Jared Knight.
Down the main straight again. 12 and 3/4 minutes gone. Jared Knight holding on to third place. Forget about Dench, he's gone. 5 seconds up the road. We're on lap 12. 13 minutes gone. On the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. It's Thursday night motorsport. It's the Porsches. It's round 3 of the championship, race 5 of the campaign from Sandown. On the back of the opening 2 weeks being sprint races. Joe Baldwin's just joining us in central commentary, which it'll be interesting to see what his thoughts on the race so far are, given that he's hanging there in third place in class and following Brett Bradbury and Dale Sharp. Into pit lane come Tristan Koch and also Anthony Adsaid. They've completed their flash and dash. They're going through to the checkered flag from here, I would imagine. Adam Tice as well. So Whitaker, Adsaid, Tice and Koch have all pitted that time around.
Matt Dench there with a 108.3 coming into lap 13. And all those front runners deciding to stay out. Jared Knight is awfully close, but he just can't make this stick. Ben Pedersen's doing a really good job defending here. Admittedly, he is closer though. Jared Knight is closer this time round than on other goes, and the back marker might have something to do with that as he moves out of the way. So Ben Pedersen getting held up slightly. This might work in Jared Knight's favour. I don't think he'll be able to get him down the bottom run, but if he can stay with him, he might be able to attack into the final bit again. We'll see how it develops.
14 and 3/4 minutes gone. Matt Dench punches out yet another fastest lap. 1 minute 8.329. Here he goes, Knight to the outside of Pedersen now. The race for second is where it's at here tonight. Knight to the inside. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's good.
That time round, Pedersen got forced high onto the ribble strip. It didn't cost him too much in the way of momentum, but he's been hung out to dry. And here comes Magnus Roney down the inside. 3 wide down the main straight. Roney with the inside line. Will he lunge? No. Knight holds on. Roney does find a way by Pedersen, but Pedersen wants to go back down the inside and force the issue at 2 and will do so. Jackson holds on to 5th. Cracking 4-way fight for second here. Don't switch off. Don't touch the dial. Don't walk away, ladies and gentlemen. That's where it's at right now. Knight's got a little bit of breathing space at long last.
And with all that fighting, Jake Jackson was able to climb back up as well. So Ben Pedersen going wide. Jared Knight had the inside line. Magnus Rowney took the advantage, decided to make it 3 wide going to turn 1, and then Jake Jackson, with all their fighting, managed to bring it up as well. So now you're looking at a 4-car battle for P2, as long as they stay in this pack. But you might be thinking, well, what about P1? He's 9 seconds down the road.
Yeah, just gone. Forget about him. And that margin, I mean, that was 5 seconds only 3 laps ago.
Yeah.
It has accelerated out in incredible fashion as these boys have been left to squabble for the minor placings. And what a squabble it is too. Chris Whittaker's got himself over the 6th spot. John Merritt 7th. Dane Snadden 8th. Adam Lavis the best of the open split in 9th place at this point in time. Paul Wilson finds himself on pit lane. Stephen Gallacher, Brendan Whittaker, Anthony Adsaid, Nick Wood and Tony Baker have all splashed and dashed. Very good to go to the checkered flag from this point. The field only about a third cleansed at the moment. Still the top 12 yet to transit the lane here. Adam Tice is a lap down, so too Tristan Koch. So far so good at Sandown. Ben Pedersen still waiting there patiently in behind Jared Knight. So Knight gets his opportunity to lead the train.
Oh, he snaps out.
A big moment! A huge chase moment. Door open for Magnus Roney, who's not waiting for a third invitation. Jake Jackson wanted a piece of it as well. Wasn't close enough. That's the save of the night from Pedersen. Have a look at this. Lit it up. Whoa! Continental drift style in a Porsche.
He was well lucky to keep that out of the wall. These cars are very easy to snap, so it did well with the throttle control, just getting off the throttle, trying to use as little input as possible. And unfortunately did lose the position to Rowney there, but I'm sure with more than half the race to go, they'll be able to climb that back. As Jake Jackson is slightly dropping back from the fight in the front three here.
Down to dead and on road once more. We're 18 minutes in. Top 12 yet to stop. Matt Dench leads by 10 1/4 seconds. Jared Knight, Magnus Roney, and then Ben Pedersen. So, Pedersen flying the flag. The Blackout Electrical Solutions team in the absence of Samuel Sproul and Sam Muir. And all those guys that dominated the battle for the minor placings in the championship last season. Knight holding sway in second at the moment. It is basically the best of the rest and the battle for the minors whenever M. Dench announces his presence in a server.
Look how close Ben Pedersen is riding the bumper of this white and pink Porsche. He's really trying to force the issue here. He's doing a good job of it as well, but Magnus holding his line. God, you can cut that curb so much. But if you do it a bit too much, not only will you get an off track, but it'll actually feed you into the wall. So it's a fine line you got to get right, but when you do, the time comes to you.
Round they go and remain straight. Ben Pedersen fourth place at the moment. They're riding on board with him, going back out in pursuit of Righty. So it was great racing. It was great racecraft from Jared Knight that was able to displace Pedersen. It was the mistake from Pedersen that gifted Roney the spot. And Jake Jackson hasn't had a proper look in yet. Dench is 11 seconds to the good as the race leader. Lights ablaze at Sandown. We're into the daylight saving portion of the year, so I'm not necessarily certain that we need the lights at the moment. If we can have a look at the track and weather conditions, they've all got the lights on. Now, how late in the day is it? It's only 5:43 in the afternoon. That's Eastern Daylight Time. They've got another hour and a half of daylight yet. They're burning perfectly good headlights. What's going on? 20 minutes gone, half race distance. Clock moving twice as fast as it will in the real world, so therefore we'll get to about 10 passing service on the checkered flag flies. And the track and weather conditions beautiful down there in Melbourne at the moment. Dench the fastest, the leader. A distant second is where you find Jared Knight. It's daylight in between. Daylight in every sense of the word, and hello to our friends in Queensland as I say that. That was a cheap shot, I know. Ben Pedersen fourth, Jake Jackson fifth, and Chris Whittaker on the subject of Queensland. And then back to John Merritt in seventh place, and have a look at who we've picked up. It is Chris Whittaker and John Merritt. So Whittaker getting hassled now. Very nice to see that his Trading Paints livery has actually popped up on the feed this week. That is a strikingly good livery that he's sporting there, but then again, so too is the pole entry in behind him. We're synonymous with John Merritt. Down the back straight we go. Merritt pulls out of the draft and goes for it. Will Whittaker let him go? Yes, he does. And it looked almost like John Merritt had deployed DRS. And I know that's not possible. I know this is a stupid thing to say. Magnus Roney's off the road! Magnus Roney is off the road at Dandenong! Magnus Roney has dropped to fifth place. Let's have a look at this again. Locks it up.
Oh,
Goes
yeah.
too deep. Gone. Goodbye podium for Magnus Roney. Through went Pedersen, through went Jackson. Roney back to 5th. And all of a sudden, under serious heat and pressure from John Merritt and Chris Whitaker. And that's not the sort of company you want to keep when you're under pressure. Two experienced men in this craft and caper. Roney's no slouch either. And I tell you what, he'll feel the pinch here with Merritt all over him like a cheap suit. We're 22 and a half minutes in. We're watching Matt Dench dominate. Just disappear into the sunset in every sense of the word, as he so often does. He can probably turn up to 5 rounds of the championship, but win all 5 and win the championship the way he's going. That's the sort of form that Dench is in. Now into the inside at the end of the back straight on Roney. Great move. Great move. Roney wants to find back down to Dandenong Road and nearly got into the side of Merritt, but in doing that, compromised himself on the exit. Up the outside goes Chris Whitaker now.
That was a big hit. That was a big hit on the suspension. Rowney just trying to keep the inside line, cuts that curb a little too heavy, and he's coming in the bits. Yeah.
So he's the first one to jump there. Top 12 yet to stop. Roney's the first of the 12. Gallagher started from pit lane. He'll need to come back down the lane again. Don't forget about that. Top 11 yet to stop as Roney plummets down the order. Now, it's interesting as well. Dench the leader. 1 minute 8.144, he's fastest lap of the race. We're watching Chris Whitaker chase John Merritt now. But isn't it funny, Daniel? And you know, because you're a sim racer in your own right, and you've had enough experience in our service now that we'll get an understanding of this. When it rains, it pours. The floodgates open. Magnus Roney, one mistake cost him 2 spots, and then all of a sudden, under pressure from Merritt and Whitaker, he lost 4 positions in little more than a lap.
Yeah, there's a ton of factors that go into it, but Porsche Cup is kind of like the perfect boiling pot for that. So not only do these cars, of course, very famously, no assists in these cars. You have no ABS, no traction control. It's about raw driver skill. And so when you make a mistake, you don't have those little backups to help you. You know, you don't have ABS to prevent you from locking up. And if you get a little loose on corner exit, you don't have traction control to keep you in line. So you make a mistake, you're going to pay for it in this series. Not only that, but let's just ignore the man that's 12.6 seconds in the lead, but literally everyone else is in essentially like you're talking within a second and a half of each other on the best of days. So you can't afford to make those mistakes. You don't have people behind you with that much gap, right? Rowney was about, 5/10 ahead, and so one small mistake, and yeah, John Merritt pounces on him, Chris Whitaker will pounce on him. And so he has to try and limit those in order to move forward. He obviously took an early pit stop, hoping that an undercut might be possible. I believe these guys get 1 fast repair. And so if there was any damage with that, it's Chris Whitaker.
Locked it up at Dandenong. Whitaker's throwing it off the road now. Dandenong's a clutch point around this circuit, isn't it? So many people get tripped up there.
Yeah, and that comes back to just the lead up into that corner. You've got a quick switch. It goes right to left. You cut the curb on the right to try and straight line the chicane. And what ends up happening is you get a slight disturbance in the stability of the car. So if you don't have that perfectly lined up, coming up to that final, not for the final corner, but coming up to the corner onto Dandenong Road, it is very easy to lock those tyres, which is exactly what Chris Whitaker did. So unfortunately, he drops now 3 seconds back from Merritt. So he's got a massive job to do to see if he can try and clamber back that gap.
Down the back straight again, down towards turn 6. 7, 8, and down to the breaking point for 9. Pedersen in 4th place, chasing Jackson. And so Pedersen, unfortunately, after that 10th slapper earlier, is now lost out to Jackson as well. Jake's on charge, up onto the podium. Where will Roney slot into this once he gets back out on the racetrack, once the field is cleansed, once all these guys have transited the lane? They're all keen to go long. 26 and a half minutes gone, and Matt Dench with 13 and a half to go as the race leader by 12.94 seconds. So he's almost putting half a second on the field with each lap that he completes. Or half a second on the field for each minute of the race that elapses. He's Ultra impressive. We're still waiting. We're still waiting for... here comes Chris Whitaker to pit lane now. We're still waiting to see how long it'll take the rest of the field to come to lane and how late they can run it. Some will run this tank to empty, come in, splash, dash and go. Others have already come to the lane. They've gone a short stint from the outset. They've gone a long stint to finish. Some went down the middle. They went 20 minutes for the first stint and they'll go 20 for the second. There are so many different ways that you can play it here. I'm riding on board with Nick Wood on a reconnaissance mission, really, and a salvage effort because of the early pit stop for the damaged car.
So that was Tristan Koch just pulling out of the way there. Unfortunately down to P20. No, it was a great race for him tonight. Trying not to impede anyone at the front. Looks like a close battle developing between Stephen Gallacher and Chris Whitaker. Chris Whitaker, of course, dropping back due to that previous lockup, which has allowed Stephen to catch up. Have either of these guys pit so far? Yes, I believe they both have. I don't think Gallacher has. It's coming up with lap 0, so I wonder if...
yeah, he started from pit lane.
That's the one. That's why.
That's right. Yep. So Brett Bradbury out of pit lane now. Anthony Adshead. What's going on to Anthony Adshead, please? I think Anthony might be the victim of a packet loss here. Anthony Adshead, there he is in 13th place. He's come back out onto the racetrack, but he stopped on lap 10. And he's just recently dropped down the order. Has something happened to Anthony Adshead? Because he just lost out to Brendan Whitaker, to Paul Wilson as well. Here comes Brett Bradbury. Here comes Adshead down the mains. There we go. Yeah, it was. He's had a mini momentary lapse. A minor packet loss for Anthony Adshead.
So where does he...
not terminal, because he got back out on the racetrack, but he has dropped from spots, 14.
Still trying to chase down Jake Jackson here. Previously, Jake looked like he was dropping back from the battle pack earlier on, but now he's doing a great job holding his line. P3 at the moment as Ben Pedersen really using the curb and the exit. Not something you want to do. You'll end up Tony Hawking your way all the way down that. It's a very raised curb, so you could almost hear it actually. The next time we go by, if you keep an ear out, you'll probably hear the bottom of the chassis scraping on that curb as they both decide to come in. I believe Jared Knight's also... Denchi's in as well, so they're all...
Everyone, but Denchi's out before any of those
guys that's hit right.
Box. Yeah. That's just typical. Lap 27 now for Matt Dench. He comes out in the race lead. Dane Snadden still on the slow burn. He gets to lap 27. He sits second at the moment, but he will come to pit lane any tick of the clock. It's all happening here on the platforms of the GSRC. Jared Knight pips Jake Jackson, Ben Pedersen, John Merritt, and Adam Lavis through the pit lane cycle. Magnus Roney comes out ahead of Adam Lavis, but behind John Merritt. So Roney has lost out in all that, but Roney is ahead of Chris Whitaker. Try and make sense of all of that. I'm struggling. There's a lot going on in a very short period of time. Both Stephen Gallacher and Adam Lavis to pit lane.
The event log might as well look like hieroglyphics to me right now, with the amount of pit lane left and pit lane entry that's going on. You can see all of the movements, of course, on your screen on the left there. Who's the biggest mover right now? Going to be Dane Snadden, I believe. 6 positions gained. Up in a P2 right now. Of course, that will come down when he decides to pit. His gap is, which is now, I believe. Yes. So himself and... Yep, just himself. So that'll mean Jared Knight's coming up on the rear there. So he will most likely exit P4, I believe, based on the gap. Possibly P5. And the biggest loser right now would be Brendan Whitaker, of course, with that early mistake, drop down. A maximum of 14 positions earlier on. He had pit in lap 10, currently P10. So we'll see if he can try and clamber up some more positions before the end of this race. But right now, Matthew Dench, pit stop done and dusted, and back to a 14.3 second lead.
this three-way fight for 14th in the motor race. Features Dale Sharp, Nick Wood and Brett Bradbury. Brett, the only of the open split competitors in this fight, 2 elites ahead of him. On the subject of the open split, Adam Lavis leads that 11th outright, Tony Baker 2nd, 13th outright, and Brett Bradbury 3rd, 16th outright at the moment. And we're on lap 28. 32 and a half gone on the platforms of the GSRC across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Post-race show coming up as soon as we're done here. And then we'll let you off into the wild into what should be a cracking, great weekend. Plenty of great sport on, rugby league test match style. Of course, the women's version of the A-League. The A-League women gets underway. The AFLW continues. There's a lot to be excited about this weekend, as well as the continuation of the Cricket World Cup. The Indonesian Motorcycle Grand Prix. And also the Motorsport Australia Trophy Series and the High Tech Oil Super Series coming up this weekend. And Sunday, if you're not sick of my dulcet tones yet, Sunday I invite you to come out and say good day to us at Sydney Motorsport Park. Adam Lavis off the road, first mistake of the night, and Magnus Roney off the road again as well. Let's have a look at Roney, but before that, Tony Baker as well. Over to you. Over to you. Now, Roney at turn 1. Yep. Passenger. On the grass, gliding, drifting, back onto the racetrack at turn 3. Lights ablaze as we head down the back straight for the 30th time. We're in the 34th minute of play, 6 minutes to go. It should be 5 laps at the line for Matt Dench.
So John Merritt's managed to...
So that'll get us to 35, by the way, 35 laps.
Yeah. So John Merritt has closed the gap here to Ben Pedersen, fighting for P4, currently a 10th behind him. He's right there. Not bad from John Merritt, up 5 positions from the start of the race. I wonder if he'll be able to get him down to the complex. You can see Ben Pedersen trying to break that toe. John Merritt says, I'll have none of that, thank you. Goes, shoots up on the inside. He'll have to give him room. And I think he's done it. Oh, no, he's actually... So...
I'll tell you what, that was bold. That was almost borderline stupid from those two. See, I told you, you've got to have a couple of screws for us to go racing in some of these servers. Brave but clean. Merritt thought Porsche was the better part of valor to yield. Now they go side by side, drag racing down the main straight. Merritt will look to get the slipstream, the toe, the draft, down to turn 1. Will he have a dive down the inside? Yes, he will. Here comes Johnny Merritt. There's nothing that Benny Pedersen can do about that unless he wants to force the issue and hang tough around the outside. And Merritt hangs him out, but he rides the ribbon strip and gets away with it to Ben Pedersen. Back down the inside goes Merritt into turn 3. What about that? Great defence. Great attack from both men. Phenomenal stuff. Merritt jumps up into 4th.
So just keep an eye here with Ben Pedersen and keeps that inside. You can see John in the rearview mirror there. But that much curb unsettled him. Now just take a look to the right side of your screen. Ben Pedersen. Look how close he gets to the exit wall. Oof! That's a fight.
That was as close as you'd ever want to be. You wouldn't want to be any closer. I would not want to go any closer than that. Great racing at Sandown. So Dench will get us to 35, 107.948, the fastest lap of the race thus far. He pitted on lap 26. Only one driver went beyond that, and that was lap 27 for Dane Snowden. He's jumped up into 6th spot, and he's got Magnus Roney for company there. And Ben Pedersen all over the back of John Merritt like a cheap suit. They're the two active battles on the racetrack at the moment. Adam Lavis and Tony Baker are now just 2 seconds apart in the battle for the outright honours as far as the open split boys are concerned. Tony Baker to pit lane. That'll cruel that. That'll ruin that. Tony Baker out of the fight. There goes Adam Lavis. Clear sailing now. He's got 9 seconds over his nearest opponent in the open split, and that is Brett Bradbury, and Joe Baldwin in behind that. It's done. It's well and truly done for Adam Lavis. If he brings it home cleanly from here, he just needs to keep it on the bitumen, on the black stuff, on the prime real estate of Sandown Raceway, and he will be your victor here in the open split tonight. Matt Dench is going to be a very clear and comfortable winner in the pro split, in the elite split. 15 seconds to the good on Jared Knight, and we're 33 laps into this race now. 2 laps to go at the line for Dench.
Ben Pedersen was closing the gap rapidly to John Merritt just before, but unfortunately he's dropped back again to about 5/10. Everybody else has expanded out there. You've only got a handful of cars within that 1 second mark. You're watching one of them. It's Magnus Rowney chasing down Dean Snadden. There's also Nick Wood, who has come into the pit. So Stephen Gallacher within 1 second of Joe Baldwin. That is a fight for third in the open class. But as it stands, I think John Merritt might be able to keep Ben Pedersen at bay. We've only got a handful of laps to go. And the gap does not seem to be closing at the rate that Ben Pedersen would want. As for Rowney, though, he seems to be doing just fine. And if Dane Snadden keeps taking corners the way that he does, then,
it's going to be very hard for Rowney to find a way through. You're 100% right.
Look at that. He's tucked up right on the back of him there. He shoots out, but an outside line is hard to hold. Here we go. Let's have a look. Yeah, as I thought, Dane Snadden keeps it. Now, if Rowney can try and brake a little later, he might be able to get the apex of this turn, which he does, but he takes a bit too much curve. He did what Pedersen did. Now going to go side by side into the next turn. Oh, that's well done from Snadden.
Just shades of Merritt and Pedersen from a couple of laps ago. Matt Dench is about to get the white flag. Matt Dench will get the white flag. We'll be on our way home at the start of lap 35. What about that? What a performance it's been from this guy. And I say that because, as is so often the case, he goes about his business in such a clean, calm and quiet fashion that we don't bloody well see him. Once the lights out, happens, the field sets off, Dench clears out, daylight second. We don't see Dench until about this point when we're greeting him at the checkered flag and calling him home to be first past the post once more. Missed last week, did the job required in week 1, dropped the bomb that he's not going to be here all 10 weeks, he's not defending his title as vigorously as he's done for the previous year and 3/4. But when he gets into the server, it's like a duck to water. He picks up where he left off the last time he was here, and as he comes around the last corner to head onto the main straight to take the checkered flag, it's Matt Dench doing Dench-like things again at Sandown. Clinical. Girling the field. 15 seconds to the good, and he finished with the fastest lap of the race, unsurprisingly, 107.845. Rowney and Snadden still going at it. All but the rest of the top 5 sorted. Knight second, Jackson third, Merritt fourth, Pedersen fifth, Snadden to hold off Rowney for sixth. I think that's going to happen. Great drive from Dane Snadden. Terrific stuff from Dane Snadden. Up 2 spots on the grid, fends off a late charge from Rowney. He gets sixth. 7th for Snadden. And then, 7th for Rowney, 8th for Chris Whittaker after a couple of issues, 9th for Brendan Whittaker after several issues, then Paul Wilson and Anthony Adshead. And Adam Lavis will win the open split here, and very nicely done. 108.908, his best of the night, and he did that only a couple of laps ago as well. And well done, Adam Lavis, that's great performance. So there's some breaking news in the world of motorsport tonight that concerns New South Wales, and it concerns Wakefield Park. Gone is the name Wakefield Park. Ladies and gentlemen, it'll now be known as One Raceway. 1 Raceway. It's, of course, now owned by the proprietors of the Pheasant Wood Motor Racing facility down there in Marulan, and they're giving Wakefield an overhaul in every sense of the word, a name change, a refresh, a revamp. The 2.2 kilometre circuit just outside of Goulburn will hopefully reopen mid next year. That's certainly the aim. They're hoping to run it as a bi-directional venue, just quietly, clockwise as well as anti-clockwise, and they are also renaming it 1 Raceway. Just quite extraordinary. Chris Whitaker and Jake Jackson standing on by to have a chat to us here. So too Sam Chapman. Actually, that's a very good point. We didn't see much of Sam Chapman tonight. That might be because he didn't actually take starters orders here. But that's okay, because we'll have a chat about other things with Chapo in just a moment. In fact, did you jump into race control for us, Chapo?
Yeah, Jamie and I didn't have much to do. We just had a good chat about his new car. You know, had a look at the racing. Brilliant out there. They did a great job.
No, very nicely done. And well done to you, because that's not an easy task to go from being the racer to being the adjudicator, but thankfully the boys didn't give you too much to adjudicate on this evening. They kept it relatively clean. Was there anything that caught your eye?
Only thing
of concern?
A bit more interesting is like a few laps in, lap 7, Stad and Adset sort of had a bit of a touch there, and Anthony went around, but it sort of just slightly come across on him. No one called anything in, but it was all sort of a racing incident. They were all really respectful out there tonight. So not much to say. I'll leave it to the drivers to talk from now.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Thank you to you, as per usual. Jared Knight's about to join us as well. Geez, he had his work cut out for him tonight. Chris Whitaker also had his work cut out for him tonight. But I want to start, if I can, wait for Matty Dexter to wheel in with Jake Jackson, if I may, because Jake, well done. Welcome to the podium, my friend. 6th on the grid, finishing 3rd. You made your way forward. You had to work hard to get those positions. 1 or 2 may have slipped through the cracks and opened up just nicely for you, but by gee, the pace was red hot. It looked to me as though you were happy to sit behind the guys in front of you that were duking it out and let them sort it out for themselves and hopefully clean up the pieces. And that's exactly what you were able to do, especially when Magnus threw it off the road down to Dandenong.
Yeah, that's right, Zach. It was just, I was struggling in practice and my car setup. I was not having a good time at all. I was actually thinking of giving it a miss this week, and then I'm like, nah, I'll stick to it. And then as soon as I got on the back of the fast train, I just wanted to stay behind there and learn off them and see what lines they were taking, and then saving fuel behind them as well. So all I had to do was sit back and learn off the quick guys in front, and then the race played out exactly how I wanted it to.
And that's a great result, mate. I mean, a confidence-boosting result for you as well. I mean, 2nd to Jared Knight, that's no mean feat. But I guess everyone would have looked at 2nd as an ideal result tonight, especially when one M. Dench rolled into the server.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of Dench's spot, really. But I was hoping to be a little bit closer to Jared after the pit stop, but I kind of missed my pit stall a little bit, so that cost me a bit of time. But we were trying to catch him, but Jared had the pace. He turned it on in the last couple of laps, and then Merritt, I didn't realise he was catching me at the last couple of laps, so I had to start getting on the gas again. So
I'll ask you this: are you a little bit surprised at how lacklustre the field was in terms of its size tonight, mate? The quality was definitely there. Let's not make any qualms about that. But I would have expected a few more bums on seats, given it's Sandown and given how hugely popular this circuit is.
Yeah, kind of spewing. I know it's just holidays and that, but the racing's always great with these boys. Everyone's fair, everyone's very competitive and very on the lap times. Besides Dench, she's on another level, but everyone else is pretty good to play with. But yeah, a bit disappointed with the numbers, but I'm hoping we'll get more bums on the seats soon.
Now, Daniel Correa, while I've got you, have you got anything you'd like to ask Jake? Because it's not often that we get to have a chat to him post-race.
No, look, the only thing I'll mention is earlier on, it seemed as though when you were chasing down Ben Pedersen early on in the race, it felt as though that gap was just eluding you. But then come pit stops, you absolutely blitzed it. Was it? You were alluding to maybe the car setup wasn't great, but did you find that after the pit stops it came to you, or?
That was just me getting comfortable with the car, I think. Like, I didn't have much time in the car, and then I was really struggling over the curbs. Every time I hit the curb, I thought I was going to hit the wall every time. So, bounced the other direction. But like I said, I was saving fuel straight from the get-go being on the train, so that was my best option, and it kind of played in my hands.
Interesting that most of the top 5 there, mate, followed similar strategy. You all pitted on that critical number, that lap 26.
Yeah, all the lap cars, all coming up to the lap cars, no one would have gained anything staying out.
Well, Dane Snowden actually benefited, but he was too far behind those lap cars for it to be an issue. Let's have a look at the calendar and what's coming up, please, Daniel, and remind these guys of where we're going and how we're doing it for the next short while. Next week, Concrete Canyon, Detroit, Belle Isle. That's going to be a lot of fun. Then on to Myrtle and Aragon, then Mount Panorama. So I won't be here for Mount Panorama. I'm not here for Myrtle and Aragon, but Detroit, Belle Isle next week. Jake, what are your thoughts?
Good little circuit, actually, for these cars, but yeah, you better hope you stay off the wall, because you might be driving around with 90 degrees of steering, unfortunately.
And what are you hoping to achieve in the next 7 weeks, mate? I mean, 3 rounds down, tick the box, press on, but what are you hoping with regards to an outright championship result here?
Well, I'm not quite sure. This is probably the first season of GSRC. I probably might be able to do nearly every round, so I'm not really sure expectation-wise, but we're looking pretty good at the moment, so hopefully we can stay in that top 5 and keep going from there.
All right, very nicely done. And as far as the rest of it's concerned, mates, where else are you popping up with regards to GSRC racing, sim racing in general? What's your niche? What's your interest at the moment there? And how much are you looking forward to maybe exploring cars that aren't Porsche, so to speak? Because I was going to say, normally when I look at you, you're synonymous with the Porsche Cup, but what else are you dipping your toes into and dabbling in?
I'm focused on GT3 for the first time this season on the Monday night, and then also the GT4, so probably every GT car really, having a good crack at it. So,
Are you going to have a crack at GT1 at some point?
I did actually this week.
Yeah,
But
nice.
I bought the car 5 minutes ago, and locked up plenty of times and went straight from the first corner. So, but it was good fun. I enjoyed that.
It certainly was, no doubt about that. Hey, tyre wear tonight, what was it like for you?
Car came on at the end for me, so struggling at the start, and then came on at the back end. So tyre wear was good for me.
All right, very nicely done. Great to catch up with you, mate. Thanks for that. Go well for the rest of the season, mate.
Thanks, boys. Have a good one.
From Jake Jackson, let's press on. Matt Dench has graced us with his presence, but I want to start with Joe Baldwin, G's trucker. It was looking so good for about 350 metres.
Look, you want to talk about deal of the week? Look in my direction. I was too busy sitting there. I had my ejaculator in my hand, and I'm working out how much fuel I'm going to need at the pit stop. And I'm like, haha, bingo! Right, that's how much I need. I looked up, and there was like 10 seconds to go, and so I took out, and I forgot to fill the car up before the race, and so my ejaculator was out of whack anyway. It didn't make any difference.
Exactly.
So it was just a comedy of errors. But look, I managed to fight back in the open class. I think I ended up 3rd overall in the opens. So you know, so the Bailey Ladders Porsche it treated me well, but I sat in the pits for what felt like about 7 minutes, getting 35 litres of fuel in. So I made it hard for myself. But I just want to, Brett Bradbury and I, we raced a lot here for a while, and we had a fantastic battle in the middle of that race. I reckon it's probably one of the more hair-raising passes I did down the back straight there heading towards Standing on him. And we had a quick chat after the race, and it was good respect to the round, all the way around. It was great fun. So just probably one that got away, I guess, but still top 3 in the Open, so I can't be too upset.
Well, that's true. I mean, the only disappointment is that you threw it down the road on lap 1.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, mate, that good 1 lap pace. I mean, Sandown's one of those circuits where you rely on pace. It is high horsepower.
It is. I still struggle with that. The section down through Dandenong. I think that's where I'm losing a big chunk of time. I just can't get it right. But the last couple of corners coming onto the front straight, in qualifying, I just got sort of better and better and better. And I mean, I ended up doing eight, I think, in qualifying. I think, which was wasn't that far ahead of the other guys. I think I did an 8.81 and Tony did an 8.83, so it was very close up the top there. So yeah, still not on the level of the elite guys, of course, but I drive this for 40 minutes a week, so I'm never going to get good when I drive it that often.
Exactly. By your own admission.
Yep.
We'll acknowledge that. Hey, just jumping in here. 1 for 155 South Africa after 28 overs against the Australians in the second pool match for the Aussies at the ICC Cricket World Cup. That's continuing on 9 Wide Water Sports tonight. The switch over to Channel 9 happens at 9 o'clock local time for those of you in Queensland. Hello. The Northern Territory and also Western Australia. Everybody else has already switched over from 9 Gem to 9 because they're slightly more progressive and civilised. Now, Trucker, still a good points haul, mate. It is a very small field. It's quality over quantity, as we've always said, with regards to this Porsche Championship. So a third tonight, despite what might have been, is not a deal breaker as far as your campaign is concerned.
Not really, but it's the little trip ups I've had over the weeks. It compounds. Like, it's because we don't have a large field of open guys. It's anyone that turns up is going to finish in the top 5 or 6, so it's going to be hard to sort of pick points up, because you're not going to have, if someone has a bad week, they're only going to finish it within a couple of positions. But it's just a matter of consistency and minimising mistakes, which apparently I've got no idea how to do. And I just keep making mistakes, and I've got to get better. So. But maybe if I put a little bit of practice in the car, I might start getting slightly better results. But we can't have that. I've got other things to do.
Yeah, exactly. On the subject of other things, before we even ask you about next week in the Porsche and Detroit Belle Isle, we know you love that circuit. We know you drive anything around there. But what about Mountain Men this Saturday, please?
We're going way back to the Legacy Dallara, the IR05 version, so the 2005 IndyCar, which it's a bit of a monster. It's good fun. So another high downforce car like we had last week, but yeah, we'll get into some different cars. I think the week after we got the Arca Menard Chev, so that's going to be something completely different. But no, we got the old IndyCar coming up this week.
32 laps around there, 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time, Saturday night. Get amongst that if you wish. Now, next week, Trucker, we're looking forward to that. Detroit, Belle Isle, Michigan. Should be good fun.
Look, like I've said before, Zach, I'd race a wheelie trolley around there, or a wheelie bin. It doesn't bother. I love the place. It's, it kills you if you make mistakes, but if you can keep it off the curbs, especially, for me, especially something like this, it's, I don't know how to use the curbs to my advantage, so I'll just keep it off the curbs and hopefully off the walls and look to have a good result there. It's certainly a track I enjoy.
And it's a sprint round as well, ladies and gentlemen, so lock that in the diary for 9 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time next week. Next Thursday
even better.
Night. Cannot wait. And an invert of the top 10 for that second race too. That is fraught with danger for so many reasons based on what we've seen already this season across various different categories and various different servers. Trucker, thank you. Go well. Enjoy the rest of your week, mate. We'll catch up.
No, it's catch today. Thanks.
There he is. Joe Baldwin. Very nicely done tonight. Come back to John Merritt in just a moment. He's just jumped into the server. Want to go to Matt Dench now and then to Jared Knight. Denchi, you graced us with your presence sporadically this season in the Porsches, but at least you make it count when you're here, mate. That was commanding and convincing from you. I said at the end there, we don't often get a chance to check in with you because lights out, away we go, and you check out. And you did exactly that again tonight, mate. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. It was pretty good out there tonight. Sandown's always a fun track, and considering I fell asleep waiting for GD4s to start last night, I thought it was better turn up here.
I like that. Why'd we fall asleep, Denchi?
I was just sitting here waiting for the server to open, and then woke up about 9:30. So.
Fell asleep in the sim rig, did you?
Yep.
That's commitment. I like it. I'm all for it, mate. Well done. Very nicely done. Actually, hello to your folks as well who sent me a message a couple of weeks back saying, why didn't you tell us you were coming to Dubbo? Because they're only hop, skipping away, jump away. I'm actually in Orange next weekend with the 4-Stroke Karting Association of New South Wales, the Endurance Karting Association in New South Wales. So if you fancy a trip out to Orange, out to the Coa City, we're out there next Sunday for 4-Stroke Karting and looking forward to that immensely. Final round of the championship, the state plate on the line, and it is orange appropriately enough as well. Denchi, so no to GT4, but you jump in for the Porsches, and you said to us a couple of weeks ago that we're probably only going to see you maybe 2 or 3. Is it 4 times now this season in the Porsche?
I'll be here for Detroit for sure. This Aragon track in round 5, I don't know about that one. I'll grab it and we'll do a couple of laps and see what it's all about. But
and you've also vetoed Fuji later in the season, I believe.
Yeah, so Watkins and Fuji are scratches off the list. So there's at least 2 rounds down that we'll have for sure.
But I like Watkins Glen. There's nothing wrong with Watkins Glen, but it's a matter of opinion, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just, I'm not a big fan of it.
You're not a big fan of it because you picked up a couple of drive-throughs there last time. Is that right?
Yeah, that could be it. I don't remember.
No, short memory, some of these people, ladies and gentlemen. No, Denchi, how was the car? Because really, there's not much else to ask you about, mate. The car, the tyre wear, did you notice anything untoward? Because really, it was an elongated training run for you.
Yeah, no, car felt really good. I spent like the first 30 minutes of practice just clicking away on the buttons in the setup screen, and seemed to have found the right combination, and then come alive in the last half of the race for sure.
And what about this as well, my friend? The last lap, the fastest lap, the checkered flag. There's something about you and purple sectors on the very last lap of the race.
Yeah, I'm trying to make that a bit of a theme at the moment, so we'll keep going with that.
Oh, well, congratulations, because you succeeded with the mission tonight. Very nicely done. So Detroit, you're here for that. We're locked in, even with the invert of the field, because we know concrete canyons aren't usually notorious for overtaking.
Yeah, Detroit's like my #1 favourite track, so we'll definitely be there, even if it's reverse grid or starting from the back the entire times.
I love it. I love his commitment to it, ladies and gentlemen. It's fantastic. And we'll see you again on Monday night for GT3, and hopefully back on the grid for GT4.
Yeah, hopefully we'll try and stay awake this time. So
I didn't realise life was so peaceful and calm for you, Denchi, that you'd fall asleep waiting for a race. That shows you the sort of form and zone that he's in at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Incredible. I'm not going to hold you up anymore. Go and knock out some more Zeds. We'll see you Monday night, mate. Thank you. Well done.
all right, thank you. Catch up on that.
Extraordinary. The only thing, I guess, Daniel, and I said it earlier, and Chapo, you might chime in here as well before we get to John Merritt and Jared Knight. The only thing that disappointed me was the grid size. Yet again, lackluster. We had, just having a look at it, I mean, credit to everyone where credit is due. 20 starters, 20 came home. But that's kind of the point. We only had 20. Sandown being synonymous with a lot of great history in Australian motorsport, being a lot of people's favourite circuit, second to Bathurst, I should say. It was somewhat disappointing to arrive here tonight and only realise that we had 20 cars. I would have thought that there'd be at least 10 or 15 wildcards tonight, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, I mean, being in race control, I'm not too unhappy
course
about
not.
that
No.
situation. It made a crazy night from my perspective. But yeah, no, it's been surprisingly small fields in the Porsches this season. I don't know whether people just have a lot on Thursdays and we're going towards the end of the year. We're no longer underneath an unnamed virus or that sort of thing. But yeah, hopefully they pick up a bit. A few more people jump in. But yeah, I mean, they still had great racing tonight. Yeah.
I don't know what this unnamed virus is that you're talking about, but we're still suffering with something in Queensland, let me tell you. Yes. Let's move on. John Merritt and Jared Knight, let's bring you into the conversation at this point in time. Hey, Knighty, that was mighty impressive from you, mate. Well done. Because I want to go and talk to John about both Formula V and Porsche, but I'll talk to you mainly about the Porsche here first. A cracking scrap with Benny Pedersen. You got the better of him. We saw what happened to Brendan Whitaker earlier in the piece. There was one position automatically gained. And all of a sudden, away we went. Happy days, locked and loaded. You've got the job done. And I've just noticed, as I've said, Brendan Whitaker there, that CW was in here a moment ago having a chat, getting ready to have a chat to us, and he's shot through. So I don't know what's going on there. We wish him well. We'll catch up with him next week. But in saying all of that, Nighty, well done. You ticked the boxes tonight, but Dench was in a different postcode.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Yeah, bit like Dench, he didn't really have a set coming into the race, so it was just tinkering with a few things, and found a set that I guess was safe. It wasn't the fastest, but it seemed to be consistent over sort of an 8 or 9 lap run in practice, so we settled on that, and yeah, just sort of bided my time early, scored that I had a bit more pace than Benny, and yeah, this moment into one was a bit hairy. I thought Magnus was going to stick it down the inside for sure, but yeah, once I got out in front, knew I sort of had the consistency to just sort of eke out the gap, and was able to save a bit of fuel as well, and capitalise at the stop.
I've just had a bit of news sweep across my desk here as well. A friend request notification popping up from a bloke by the name of Sam Chapman, and I'll say to you,
that. I'll tell you what.
I'll say to you now, chat. I sit on the phone whilst we do this. It's no secret to anybody, but I will say this now. Apologies in advance because you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Let's go back to Jared Knight. Mate, nice to see that you're bagging some strong results together here. Another podium finish, a solid hit out, some serious pressure from Benny. I mean, but in saying that as well, it wasn't just serious pressure, but it was clean racing as well, and that obviously satisfies all and sundry, because that's what we like to see.
Yeah, definitely. Every time I've sort of come up Benny or any of the blackout boys, it's always just been clean, hard racing. Yeah, there's no sort of silliness going on. So yeah, no, it was a good little battle at the start there.
Indeed. Now, is it a case of when you hear Denchi say something like, "I'm not going to be here for Fuji," you can put a red line through Watkins Glen as well, and does that give you guys? And then you've got people like Sam Muir who are in championship contention not showing up tonight. For someone like you, does that give you a little bit of hope that there might be a number one there for the taking and on offer at the end of the season if you can continue to string the results together?
Oh, it certainly makes it more enticing, yeah, definitely. But yeah, I've missed the first 2 rounds, so in that case, I'll have to be here for the remaining 7. So we'll see.
And that's the next problem, isn't it, mate? As you know, because Detroit's the next stop. It's basically a case of make or break from now on. You've got to make every post a winner, considering you've used up both your drop rounds.
Yeah, it's a good thing that I'm like Denchi and Trucker. Detroit's probably my favourite track on the service, and fairly strong in this car as well. I've done a bit of league racing there before in that car, and should be a strong outing next week.
I'm just going to jump in real quick.
Go, right? Daniel.
So you're saying that Detroit Belle Isle is your favourite track. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, I'd say it. Sticks at the top definitely.
Yeah, sweet. My second question is, what color is your mouth guard?
Yeah, it's
That
needs a
track
mouth
is
guard around there.
so
Yeah.
bumpy. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it too. It's very, very fun. If you race it in an Indy car, it makes my nether regions do funny things. But the screen doesn't stop moving the entire lap. It's just, as a driving track, it's insane. It's insane. Of all the tracks to pick, that's the one. Like, again, I get it, but
Exactly.
insane.
Right now, here's one for you as well, boys. Just scrolling again through the news feed here. We were updating everybody earlier in the night about Bernie Eccleston pleading guilty to fraud. No jail time for Bernie by the looks of it. It's now being reported that he has reached a settlement to pay HM Revenue and Customs over €600 million to cover 18 tax years. That is the definition of made of bloody money. Fair income. My goodness gracious me. If only we were all so lucky to just buy our way out of trouble. Fantastic. We'd always find more ways to get into it. Anyway, so Detroit's your favourite, but if we have a look at the calendar on screen here, please, Daniel, and remind 90 of where we're going after that. Anything you don't like there? Anything you're slightly trepidatious about?
Motorland Aragon's a bit of an unknown in this car. But apart from that, it looks fairly good. Imola should be nice in round 9, and then you saw the racing that Philip Boland put on at the last round of last season. So looking forward to it.
Indeed, and what's been keeping you away, mate? Is it real world commitments creeping back in and providing a bit more of, proving to be a bit more of a nuisance?
Yeah, unfortunately, just the real world gets in the way sometimes. But looking forward to getting into some racing outside of the sim world next week in Orange. I'll catch up with you there. So.
You certainly will. Yeah, and we're looking forward to that immensely. I did mention that earlier in the call, so and I do remember you saying that you were going to be one of the gentlemen on the end for this, which is good to see. And of course, I know the competitors are out there racing away on the Saturday with practice and pre-event prep. I won't be getting there until Saturday night because I'll be doing the radio show from here 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on the Saturday morning, and then it's about a 4.5 hour solid drive. Probably a little bit more, considering there'll have to be a pit stop in the middle somewhere all the way through to Orange, but looking forward to 6 hours of flat out racing on the Sunday. And 90, what else are you dabbling in at the moment? Any GT4 or GT3 exploits in this club, please?
Had a bit of a shocker last night in GT4 because I was up the mountain for the best part of a week. I didn't get a whole lot of practice in, sort of just jumped in last night, and it kind of showed. The second race wasn't too bad, sort of come from back of the field to middle of the top 10, but definitely open for a bit better of a result.
Mate, terrific to catch up with you. Great to have you back on a Thursday night. Hopefully see you here for the next 7 as well. And we wish you all the best with a potential assault at the championship, or a potential tilt or crack at the championship here, given that it started well with the second place tonight. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Zach.
We move from Jared Knight to John Merritt at this point in time. There were a few hot laps tonight, John, including Formula V, my friend. Nice to see the old experienced hand of John Merritt. It's like a comfy fit when you jump back behind the wheel of a Formula V. You are so synonymous with that car. Let's start there and then we'll come to the Porsche. Great performance, some great tidy racing at Zandvoort as well.
There was some awesome racing tonight in the V's. It was thoroughly enjoyable, Zach, and good to be back in the seat for a bit of sim racing.
And again, that's the point. Back in the seat. So you're one of those. You're one of. Sorry, I'm getting messages here on this side of things that are distracting me when I should be trying to concentrate on interviewing you. There's a lot going on a Thursday night, real world, sim world, everything else. I'll get back to real world in a moment. Let's talk sim world. Let's talk about you being somewhat of an in and out sort of character at the moment. We're not seeing you as regularly as we used to. We're not seeing you on the grid as regularly. There's a reason for that. We know you're getting busier in the real world, but it must be nice to jump back in and be right on the money without too much time in between, without too much work per se. There's a lot of people that would jump back behind the wheel and be a little bit rusty. You're certainly not one of them.
Oh, you're being a bit kind, mate. I had a run last night, and sadly, a bit like Jared, I've spent a bit of time up the mountain. Got back to GT4s and made a bit of a meal of it, but it's just good to be back. Lots of interruptions in the real world at the moment, and a new wheelbase that's made it a challenge too, being a bit rusty at the moment. But it's all good. It's enjoyable.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, as far as Formula V's are concerned, will that be a regular commitment, or will that be when time permits, mate?
Oh, just when time permits, mate. If I can jump in, I will. And mate, I think I started the night a couple of seconds off the quickest guys in the session. So, once the rust came off, it was thoroughly fun and some ripping racing. I'm sure the vocal box got a workout.
It certainly did. Go back and have a look at the last lap of race 3, though. I'm hoping you won't be disappointed. Let's turn our attention to, you mentioned GT4 there, mate. What are you making of that in the new format, now that it's in a prime time slot as opposed to being a short, sharp, jabby 25-minute sprint? What are you making of it in the new format?
Oh, the racing last night was actually really fantastic, and the opening battle of that second race, the opening couple of laps was fantastic. I made a blue, and sadly I think Dale Sharp was the victim, but the racing was actually really, really good. So, no, look, as you know, versatility-wise, I'll just jump in anything and enjoy it. So, just when time allows.
Indeed. And now let's talk about the Porsche at Sandown. From 10th on the grid up to 4th. You chipped away at it, but one thing we know about you, mate, yes, the hot lap pace is absolutely there. If you hit the ground running and bank a number, that's great. You were a little bit late jumping into the server because you were occupied with Formula V. You warmed to it as the night rolled on. A couple of incidents for a couple of drivers around you and ahead of you opened up the door just nicely. But one thing's for certain, whilst the nickname might be Hot Lap, one thing we do know about you is you race bloody well as well.
Yeah, it was. I really didn't probably get a set together, and just a little bit time limited getting out of the V's. But the sort of car got better and better, and I suppose you start to adapt to the car, and I seemed to be sort of getting quicker as the race went on, and a couple of cracking battles, Benny Peterson and coming through. So no, it was good fun. I've just got to take my sedatives before I get in the sim, I reckon, and I'll be just like Denchi.
We don't want people falling asleep at the wheel or in the cockpit. Let's make that very, very bloody clear.
And certainly not encouraging misuse for those out there.
And we're certainly not encouraging misuse of narcotics and sleeping tablets and everything else. We're not encouraging any foul play. We're not even encouraging you to fall asleep in the sim rig, even if you're not in the server. Beds are far more comfortable. Clearly, Denchi's one of those people. I'm not, but Denchi's one of those people. He can fall asleep anywhere. He can fall asleep sitting up.
Honestly, if you've got a Formula seat, it's pretty comfortable. If you've got a Formula style rig, it's not bad. I could definitely see myself falling asleep in a Formula style. In a GT style, no.
Once we're off air here, then strap yourself into your seat, turn the cricket on from India, and see if you fall asleep watching that. There's your challenge for the night ahead. John, while we got you, mate, Sandown, great racetrack. Obviously, it's one that you're familiar with through TCR, through Formula V, and some other formats and races or classes and cars that we've brought. And what are you making of the 992? And what are you making of the quality in this field at the moment?
Yeah, the car's actually just cracking to drive. It's different, so it does take a little minute to just get on the pace, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know my teammate Tony Baker said the same thing, so really enjoyed it around here. And the field, I think the field's just gone forward. You know, I didn't see how far Denchi finished in front of Jared, but the pace was pretty formidable.
Indeed, it did. Now, with regards to what's coming up, mate, obviously this far out might be a bit hard to gauge or a bit hard to know, but will we see you next week for Roots Kogan in the Vs and Detroit for the Porsches?
Mate, I'll attempt to make it, just depending on commitments next week. So it's a little far out to tell at this stage, but if I can be there, I'll be square.
All right, very nicely done, and obviously, as we know, we'll see you maybe for a cameo in a GT3 later in the year. GT4s, of course, Formula V. Versatile. There are a few club members that get coated with that brush. John Merritt is certainly one of them. And nice to see you be one of 3 winners in the Vs tonight, mate. We know that you've made that category your own in the past, but from a commentary standpoint, it's always better, more entertaining, more enjoyable. Much better, I should have said, when variety is the spice of life and it's not as stale and predictable as when M. Dench rocks up in any given class. Very nicely done from you. Great to catch up as always. Have a great night, have a great weekend, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Likewise, mate. Pleasure. Thanks, Zach.
There he is, the one and the only John Merritt, leader of the Pulse stable at the moment. No doubt about that. Adam Wavis, are you there?
Yeah.
Hello, mate. Very nice to have you on board as well. Firstly, what a night you've had. 2 photo finishes for podium finishes in Formula V. 3 podium finishes in Formula V. And then a race win in the open split of the Porsches. What a night out.
It should have been 3 photo finishes, but I missed the gear on that last one. No. Give Johnny an easy run to the line.
No. So that was the only mistake in the V all night, essentially.
Well, I think it was. I didn't quite get the good run through the last corner behind Johnny, so it would have been close. He might have still had me, but the mischief definitely sealed the deal. But I was definitely lining him up for it. So I had it twice in a row. I was like, well, I know how to do this now. Just go do it one more time, and yeah, just didn't have it. But yeah, it was a good night in the Vs. Managed to get, it's probably my best night in a while. Got basically all 3 podium spots. I think all 3 0Xs, at least 1 fastest lap. So that was a good point all on the Vs. And yeah, just the Porsches, I got through that first lap kerfuffle where people were going everywhere. And then I looked down and I was like 5 seconds in the clear of the next open guy. So I was just saying, okay, no lockups, let's just look after this. And made one mistake where I was too busy talking to Adset and forgot to break into 10
flew off the track.
That was my only friggin' instant too, the whole race. I was like, that's annoying.
And that could have been the difference between a couple of bonus points and not as well.
Well, it was, because that was my only incident.
Yeah. Oh dear. So Anthony will get an invoice on that one, no doubt about that.
That was my fault. I was talking to him and I was looking down to see how far back Bradbury was. And actually, at the time it was Baker, because I was trying to work out, because I was looking at Baker and I was like, he's been on lap 5. There's no way he's going to make this short. So then he was my only sort of threat in the end. And I was pretty sure he has to bit. Then he bit. I was like, good cruisy road.
At least you're honest, and at least you're on it as well. I love that. The V's around Zandvoort. So Zandvoort probably not the first racetrack that comes to mind when you think of what's going to make for good Formula V racing, but. As Chapo said, the upgrades there with the banking as well added a new spice of life to it.
Well, it was a great track for the Vs, and I just enjoyed the fact that out of that lead group, I was the only one smashing that first banking one. I was just ripping through there. I was just passing the inside, outside, down that back short chute. I was like, this is great. No one else has worked it out.
You were making light work of it. It was really good to see, and actually really nice to see you string 3 races together, because that very rarely happens in the Vs, as you know.
Yeah, I think it was basically that bank corner lap 1 was really your only sort of your danger spot for your self-sabotage on the first lap of cold tyres, which Joe found out at least once. Because the cold tyres, if you try and brake and turn on banking, you just whipped it. But other than that, it was a nice, fast, flowy track. So it was just good fun night.
Indeed. And then we got to the Porsche, and obviously Joe slipping off on the opening lap worked right into your wheelhouse, mate. I mean, you had to fend off a couple of challenges there. Tony Baker had a late pit stop. That cleared the path for you. You hit your markers, you ticked the boxes, you got the job done, a much-needed win.
Yeah, that's what Sandown's one of there's probably three tracks I normally go relatively good at no matter what car in, and Sandown's one of them. So, because even when I first jumped across, like normally with the Porsche, as I say most weeks, I jump across, and the first 10 minutes it feels like I'm in some weird numb lounge chair that doesn't want to do what I want it to do. But tonight I got in, and other than the one sort of spin on my first out lap, then I got in the second lap, just did a warm-up lap, and then it just sort of felt good because it's just like, this is just Sandown, just got to watch out for a little bit of understeer, and she's good to go. So, probably helped, just being a track that I enjoy and seem to have a knack for. It made the Porsche a little bit easier tonight.
All right, mate, and your thoughts on those two circuits next week? Roods-Kogan for the Vs and then Belle Isle as well, the Concrete Canyon.
Well, Roods-Kogan is going to be interesting because it's you got the main slipstream point leads into one of the trickiest braking zones for a V. So that's going to be interesting with all the guys trying not to spin out at the bottom of the hill. And then so that could be a bit of a cluster with everyone going everywhere. And then then you got the tight concrete canyon of Belle Isle. So if the same thing happens next week as it did this week, it's going to be a lot harder to dodge the traffic jam that it will incur.
Carnage, exactly right. Well done, mate. As always, nice to see you on the right side of the ledger for a change. So many times we've been speaking about what might have been or where it went wrong, but everything went right for you tonight, which is good to see. So well done on that, and we'll catch up on Monday night when you're on this side of the fence for a change.
Yeah, it was good. It was glad to be up the front there. I was also just that in a couple of those V races, like, this little battle here. Surely Zach's going off his chart here. We're having a good time. So it'd be
Zach
good to watch.
Is reaching for the Strepsils and honey at the end of the night. Yeah.
It'd be good to watch it back in an hour or so.
Exactly right. Go well, mate. Thank you for that. We will catch up on Monday.
Okay, I got the Porsche points already, and I'm almost done with the V. So.
Oh, good boy. Righto. Well, whenever the Porsches are ready, we'll get them flying up for you, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I'll just read them off the matrix here as soon as Adam tells me they're good to go. You just let me know when, Adam. In the meantime, we might thank some sponsors and tick the boxes, dot the I's, cross the T's, and look at what's to come on the platforms of the GSRC. Firstly, we couldn't do it without the sponsors. They are integral to what we do and how we do it here each Monday, Wednesday and Thursday. Waste Options, Orbit Australia, Login Systems, Play One SimGear, Lobesy Racing, M-Wave Australia, and also Flash Graphics. A big thanks to all of them for supporting Season 15 of the club, Term 4 of 2023. On the back end of that, we need to remind everybody as well that we got gsrcmerch.myshopify.com for all your merch requirements, or merch.tgsrci.com, or if you want any more information with regards to the club, or you want to join or renew your membership, then race.tgsrci.com is your friend as well. Let's look at what's coming your way throughout the course of weeks 3 and 4. Still a couple of days left for week 3, and then week 4 gets underway on Monday night. Tomorrow night, we can't broadcast this at the moment, unfortunately. Donington Park IndyCar, the Dalara's roaring around there for 45 laps, and then we get stuck into the Mountain Men on Saturday night with the old school legacy IndyCars from 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Monday night, we're back with you. We're off to the Watkins Glen Cup circuit for the Super 2s, and if they dish up anything like what they've dished up over the course of the last 2 weeks, I might not have a voice when I go to Perth, because they've been phenomenal. Then we get stuck into GT3. It's sprint racing, and it's Circuit de Jerez, the venue. We get stuck into the M split first up, the Pro split second up, and therefore you're getting 3 races from 3 different championships for the price of 2 on a Monday night. Just the way we like it. We're with you from 7:40 Eastern Daylight Time as per usual. Tuesday night, the up-and-comers with thanks to Lobesy Racing. We take you to Suzuka for the Formula 4s, and then the GT1s are heading to the classic Watkins Glen circuit layout as well, so stay tuned for that on Tuesday night. That's an on-broadcast. Wednesday, the Downforce Legends, we're heading to Virginia International for 2 sprint races there. Then we get stuck into GT4 from Imola with thanks to Orbit Australia, a 40-minute race there from 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Next Thursday night, we've promoted it and plugged it to death already, but let's do it one more time. Formula V, the best ticket in town, the best thing since sliced bread before Hyundai XL Racing. This is going to be an absolute bloody beauty. 3 races for you. from Ritz-Carlton Motor Centre. First up, that's your main course on a Thursday night. Then dessert is Porsches in the form of sprint racing from the Grand Prix of Belle Isle Circuit in Detroit, Michigan. And we're looking forward to that as well. So that's everything that's coming your way. I've still got Sam Chapman here. I've still got Daniel Correa-Sarr here. Boys, final thoughts and a highlight from both of you, maybe even a driver of the night as well, from what was a very entertaining 3.25 hours or so.
I guess from my perspective, it was just a great night out. Like the racing in those V's was unreal. Had a great time. Yeah, had a great race. It's just, he said he worked out that banked corner. He absolutely did. There was a number of times where I'd look behind, he had an extra 10 k's an hour on me coming out of it. But yeah, that was the spirit of it being a relatively new track, at least in parts like that. People were still getting used to it. So yeah, good fun. Looking forward to next week. I reckon Raceway will suit it well too. And yeah, good clean racing on the Porsches as well. So good night out.
Indeed, very nicely done. And the next round of the GSRC GT3 and Hypercar Endurance Championship comes up at the start of November for you. Those of you wondering as well, the opening weekend of November. I can't commit to it, unfortunately, because I've got the Postie Bike Grand Prix here in Cessnock on that day. That's the reason we've been broadcasting from here the last couple of weeks. I believe we've had no tech issues tonight, so I might have worked out what the problem was. And I'm just going to have to work on the laptop for the next couple of weeks. The PC just can't handle the bandwidth here at the moment. But I'm going to try and connect it to cable for next week and see if that does the trick too. I'm going to also try that for the radio show on Saturday morning. Daniel Correa-Sarr, final thoughts from you and a highlight from the night before.
Oh, look, fantastic races from both venues and from both series. If I had to pick a driver of the night for both of them, I'd say it'd have to be Adam Lavis for the V's, just on the consistent performance over the course of the three races.
Consistent photo finishes, yeah.
And in the Porsches, I mean, you kind of have to give it to Matt Dench, but if we're going to ignore him for a second because of his always stellar finish,
well,
I'd say
that's right.
I'd say Jake Jackson, because at the start of the race he was falling behind. And then after the pit stops, he smashed it and came up there P3. So it was a really good job from him, I must say.
I'll echo that because Jake Jackson's now the championship leader in the Porsche Elite Cup. 139 plays Matty Dench, 133. Brendan Whittaker, 127. 117 for Paul Wilson. Not to forget for the Whittakers and Adsheads at the stable. 114 for Anthony Adshead, 113 for Sam Muir. 99 for Nick Wood, 88 for Ben Pedersen, 78 for Andrew Dutch, and 75 for Chris Whittaker make up the top 10. Beyond that, over the page, the open split, Joe Baldwin 160, Adam Lavis 123 after missing last week. It's important to note that. 109 for Stephen Gallacher, 86 for Tristan Koch, and 60 for Sean Rees make up the top 5. So that's it from us. We're done on the way out. I just want to give a plug, a reminder to everybody that on Sunday, if you're in New South Wales, if you're in Western Sydney, head out to Sydney Motorsport Park. Free entry for the final Motor Racing Australia event of the season. And important to note that is the championship finale for Series X3 New South Wales. Yep, the Hyundais are going around for their 5th and final championship round of the season. Louis Bahaja can mathematically clinch the title. The Masters battle is absolutely tantalising. There's no doubt about that. The racing on Sunday promises to be red hot because there's a couple of cameo appearances about to happen, about to unfold, that could make or break the championship for somebody else by virtue of the fact that they're not in contention, but they will be in race contention on the day. There's also something to be said for the fact that this is the 4th time that we've gone racing at Sydney Motorsport Park this year. The last of the championship rounds, Louis Bahaja can mathematically clinch it before he goes off to race as the sole New South Wales representative at the moment, the Nationals in Perth. I'll be there commentating for Series X3 New South Wales. If you can't make it to the circuit, you can check it out via the Series X3 New South Wales socials, Facebook and Instagram. I just wanted to give that a quick plug before we wrap up tonight. Very excited about the Hyundais. Love them. This is a nice little warm-up for me before I go to Perth for the Nationals, and plenty to be excited about going forward for that category as well. On behalf of Daniel Correa-Sarr, Sam Chapman, Adam Lavis, the rest of the broadcast commentary production team here on the platforms of Gentleman Sim Racing Club, I'm Zach Caban. I hope you enjoyed Thursday Night Motorsport as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Thanks for coming along for the ride. you wouldn't have been disappointed with Formula V. They delivered an absolute treat, and then some of that Porsche racing was first class as well. Until we see you on Monday night, have a great weekend, everybody. Trust you'll enjoy the sport on off-on television or out and about. Of course, go out and support your local sport. The cricket season starting up, or strap in on the couch for what is another great weekend of sport. For anyone coming to Sydney Motorsport Park on Sunday, I will see you there. We cannot wait for the final round of Series X3 New South Wales this season. The Masters fight on the line, the Trophy Series on the line, and one very pumped up and excited commentator ready to watch that all unfold. Consistency the key for Louis Bahaja in the championship. He's got a couple of red-hot, fast-paced Queenslanders breathing down his neck. See you Monday for Week 4 of Term 4 in 2023. When we bring you the Super 2s from the Glen, and then of course we get stuck into a round of GT3 from Perth. Until then, have a great evening, everybody. Go and watch the cricket. The Aussies up against the South Africans. The South African innings almost at its conclusion now, and they're going to set Australia a pretty good target. There's no doubt about that. It'll be in excess of 300 if they get their sums right throughout the course of, if they run along the current trajectory of what we've seen throughout the first 40 overs thus far. So the World Cup alive and well, and a lot to look forward to across the course of the weekend. We'll see you Monday. Until then, have a great evening, everybody. I'm Zach Caven. Bye for now.